gentlemen, this COVID-19 has taken everybody by surprise, and it has pushed some very important issues into the background, like Afghanistan and Kashmir also. Like COVID-19, I feel the future scenario is also uncertain in Afghanistan. However, for COVID-19, we are hopeful that a vaccine would be developed very soon. But is there a vaccine for Afghanistan also? That, of course, remains to be seen. And we will have the comments of the experts also. Become a big issue, and it has affected the coronavirus, and it has affected the geopolitical scenario of the world also. And where does Afghanistan fit into all this? The developments in Afghanistan have taken place quickly while the world is engrossed in this. And the Doha Agreement is a much discussed subject. At the moment, what is happening in Afghanistan, again, a lot has to be seen, but there are some positives also. $35 million, I learned yesterday from somebody in Kabul, $35 million have been given for Corona in Afghanistan by the US. Although one of the rumors says that this $35 million has not gone where it should be. Then another positive, which I'm told, of course, is that Abdullah has been included as part of the government, and he has agreed. Amrullah Saleh has been given the task of the border areas. Whether this is good for us or bad for us, we'll have to see. Then there are a lot of hiccups in the implementation of the agreement. The main problem at the moment is again the prisoners, although they are releasing 100 prisoners or something at a time. But I'm also told that these are not the same prisoners which the Taliban had asked for. So we don't know what is going to happen in this scenario. The impression which I'm getting is that the US at this time is not showing too much of interest in Afghanistan. The EU has probably been given the task to be more active on this front. Very little withdrawal, if any, has taken place as far as the US is concerned. However, there have been drone attacks on the Taliban, and of course the Taliban have protested to the US on these drone attacks. The Panjshiri or the Northern Alliance, ex-Northern Alliance elements are at the moment weak because there is also infighting amongst them. This is the information which I have. You will be able to put me wise on this. Another positive is I'm told that Dostum has been appeased. He has got now 1,000 bodyguards, and so he is quiet at the moment. And Atta has also been given some. Adata has also been given some appointment. So, what is going to happen now, and what should we do? One of our primary concerns is, of course, that the Indians, what influence will they have, or what influence do they have now, or what will they have later? According to the Indian writers, they are very disappointed, and they think that the investment in Afghanistan has not really paid off. As far as we are concerned, the person who is there in the border areas, Amrullah Saleh, he needs to be washed, and we hope that later on there is no issue. The problem of ISIS versus Taliban is being discussed. We all know where the ISIS have come from and who are backing them. So that also needs to be seen what is going to happen there. In the regional scenario, the most important player after the US nowadays appears to be China. And with the US withdrawal in sight, how does China view and prepare for Afghanistan's future as a very important neighbor? This is also a question which can be discussed. On one hand, China sees the US presence in its backyard as a security threat, but they were also happy that some of the so-called terrorist elements are being controlled because of the US presence. China would like the US to withdraw, but they also want that Afghanistan should not be left in a chaotic state like all of us. This is what we want also. But the decisions are made in Washington, not in Kabul, as we know. So China has to react to the situation. So in short, the Doha Agreement, we were very happy about it, but it can lead to more insecurity, and we hope that there is no civil war in Afghanistan, because that is going to be a disaster for Pakistan. So I will not take much of your time, and of course we have a very illustrious panel today with us. So I will hand you over to Colonel Khalid for the rest of the webinar.
I will go over to Peshawar and request Professor Shabir, Director Area Studies Center, University of Peshawar.
On behalf of Area Study Center, University of Peshawar, I welcome you all to this one-day national audio-video conference. Ladies and gentlemen, whatever happens in Afghanistan is more important for Pakistan than happenings in any other state in historical and geographical perspectives. Due to the phenomenon of layover, regional politics have been absorbed by politics at global level for the last 4 decades. USA has taken many policy turns on the region during the last 2 decades or so. USA might be serious in withdrawal because of election year there, while the chaos and instability, if prevails and prolongs, the neighbors of Afghanistan will have to deal with. It means subcontracting security to the neighbors of Afghanistan. Balkanization of Afghanistan and the region at large has been on cards since long. Middle East has been devastated. It seems escalation of conflict in Central Asia is the option. Division of Afghanistan on ethnic or sectarian basis will have catastrophic consequences for its neighbors. Bringing and sustaining peace in Afghanistan must be a shared responsibility of the regional states. Historically, Afghans have never been able to resolve their issues internally and have always sought foreign assistance. During the 19th century, Shah Shuja came to the south for seeking British assistance, while Sher Ali went to the north after Russian help. During the 20th century, one Afghan faction invited Soviets, while the other again came to south and this time sought Pakistan's help. In 21st century, one section welcomed American attack, while the other Afghan section opposed it and looked for foreign assistance. That is why Afghan peace settlement can neither be negotiated nor sustained without its neighbors' backing, because major powers also operate through regional countries. If neighbors of Afghanistan pull different groups in different directions, peace process may stall. Therefore, the unanimity of neighbors of Afghanistan on the peace process is imperative. Pakistan and other regional states need to reconstruct the regional security paradigm through regional integration. Importantly, regional dynamics have changed and necessity for connectivity has been understood. This is the main challenge. Pakistan needs to be closely engaged with the neighbors of Afghanistan as peace process implementation must be a shared responsibility, and Pakistan cannot commit to be the sole guarantor for anyone in Afghanistan. A worst scenario can emerge if Iran and Pakistan engage in a proxy war in Afghanistan. It makes little difference to extra regional power whether Pakistan bleeds, Iran bleeds, or both bleeds along with Afghanistan. Western desires to keep the Eurasian powers divided and hamper the Eurasian integration will be realized in that scenario. Pakistan's economic situation cannot afford this kind of scenario and therefore must be in close consultation with Iran, Russia, CARS, and China to persuade these countries to utilize the capabilities of Taliban for enduring peace in Afghanistan through a strong central government. Support of China and Russia will come when they see it is working and that all player groups are on board. They can pressurize and encourage any group to meaningfully negotiate. When Taliban were excluded in the immediate post 9/11 period from political settlement, it could not resolve the issue. If any other group is excluded from the future setup now, that will be harmful for sustainable peace. It is worth mentioning that each ethnic group has a majority in at least one part of the country. Pakistan therefore needs to reach out to all groups, whether in government or out of government currently. Pakistan needs a multiple track policy to be in touch with all groups in Afghanistan and its neighbors through back channel, track 2 and track 1 simultaneously. When America was signing deal with the Taliban in Doha, on the same day, they were signing agreements with Ashraf Ghani in Kabul. What I want to say is that when some Pakistani politicians and journalists participated in Ashraf Ghani's oath-taking ceremony, it would have been better had some Pakistani politicians and journalists also participated in Abdullah's oath-taking ceremony. India is planning to unite all anti-Taliban groups to sabotage the peace process and also weighing the option to invite all groups, including Taliban, to India as a last resort. All the neighbors of Afghanistan desire a strong central government in Afghanistan which is capable of securing its border and controlling drugs production and marketing. Taliban have shown their ability during 1990s to control and maintain peace in their country because of punishment of corrupt officials and discouraging criminality. Protecting traditional values and dispensing quick justice have earned population support for Taliban. It is also obvious that they have been matured politically, visited all regional capitals including Tashkent, Tehran, Beijing, Islamabad, and Moscow. Taliban have no desire to move beyond their national borders. This was the message conveyed by Taliban to the regional capitals. However, it is also a reality that Taliban cannot become absolute power in Afghanistan, as other groups have majority and control in at least some parts of the country, while also have backing of some neighboring countries. In 1998, Taliban had agreed to ceasefire, allowing women education on joint talks with the United Front, our Northern Alliance, but unfortunately, that opportunity was missed. Taliban did not enjoy the respect and support of major powers and neighboring countries then in 1990, but now they enjoy the hard-earned respect and support of neighboring countries. Main agenda of the intra-Afghan dialogue, according to Doha Peace Agreement, is to sort out future political roadmap. So an inclusive government dominated by Taliban can be instrumental for sustainable peace in Afghanistan through a strong central government. Intra-Afghan peace talks must have a clear focus and a limited set of people needs to be engaged with full mandate from respective sides. A clear mechanism and realistic timeline need to be set for intra-Afghan talks. Tashkent has already offered to host intra-Afghan dialogue. It is a good omen as Uzbekistan, a double landlocked country desperately looking for peace in Afghanistan, to initiate its connectivity infrastructure projects, particularly rail and electricity. Uzbekistan is the only Central Asian republic which has pursued an independent foreign policy and has the guts to take bold decisions in its national interests, irrespective of Russian or American pressure. Pakistan needs to encourage such developments and also invite all groups to host such meetings for bringing different Afghan groups to table for talks. If the talks hinge on that which side will surrender, these will fail. Both the sides, Taliban and the incumbent Afghan government, have to be flexible and make compromises in the larger interests of peace. I thank you all.
Thank you very much, sir. Now I would go again to Peshawar, to Rahimullah Yusuf Zaisa.
Thank you very much. And you know, you can hear me. That's, I think, good, but I know you can't see me, but you may already have seen me a lot. So I don't want to bore you with my face. Let me, I think, talk specifically about the issues which were highlighted by General Saab. And, he made a statement which was very positive, as he said, that Abdullah has agreed to join the government. So I think we have been hearing this for some time. Uh, there is going to be an agreement on power sharing. Much of the issues have been discussed. President Ashraf Ghani's camp is already saying that the terms have been agreed and Abdullah will join and the government. But Abdullah's side was saying that it's not yet final. So I think they are moving towards that. If not, they already done that. So Abdullah he knew from the beginning he won't be able to become the president. So he was bargaining for a bigger share in the government. So he will be the head of the Afghan High Council for Peace and Reconciliation, or the Peace Jirga, or whatever. So he will be heading that, and I think that's a positive thing because lately we have seen that he was more willing, and he was indicating that he can, there should be no conditional peace talks. He was actually disagreeing with Ashraf Ghani's very tough conditions regarding the talks and agreement with Taliban. So let's see if he can carry that position and message when he becomes the head of the High Peace Council. Although I think that the High Peace Council has not been very effective. And now that they also have this, negotiating team, I don't know how much of a role the High Peace Council will have. Abdullah will also be getting a share in the cabinet. He wanted the protocol of, say, a very high protocol. Ashraf Ghani agreed to give him the protocol of equal to a president, to the vice president. So he won't be in the same position as he was for 5 years as the chief executive, but he will get something, although I know that there will be disagreements on the power sharing and the authority of the ministers and Abdullah's authority as they proceed. The second issue, was regarding the prisoners. So I think this issue is the biggest hurdle now towards starting the intra-Afghan negotiations, and I don't think it will be resolved easily. The Afghan government has said it will release 1,500 prisoners, not 5,000 as agreed in the Doha Agreement. So if that happens, if they only release 1,500 in installments, I think Taliban would not be satisfied and they won't engage in intra-Afghan negotiations. The Afghan government has released until now 300 Taliban prisoners, and Taliban have released 60 government prisoners. But on both sides, there are allegations that they are not the people who were going to be released. And that's why these talks held by the Taliban Prisoners Commission in Kabul with the Afghan government officials, that were very important because then, they could have identified their prisoners, and Taliban were, wanting that they should be present at the time of release so that they can identify their prisoners. And they had demanded the temporary release of 15 of their commanders who they said knew each and every Talib fighter. But that did not happen because the Afghan government gave it a different meaning, saying that Taliban wanted the release of 15 top commanders. But Taliban said, no, you can release them temporarily and then again take them into custody and they should be released only for the duration of identifying their prisoners. So this issue will stay. This won't be resolved. And the Americans, I don't know how much pressure they're going to exert on the Afghan government. The Afghan government, is in a position to use these prisoners as a bargaining chip. They were not involved in the peace talks. They were not involved in the peace agreement. So now finally they have this card which they are going to use as far as they can. Taliban, the Afghan government have two demands, so which are not acceptable to the Taliban. One, that they should reduce violence, as they did with the Americans before signing the agreement. Secondly, they want every Taliban prisoners to guarantee, to give an undertaking that they won't join the battlefield. They won't go back to the battlefield after being released, and Taliban are not willing to do that. So I think that unless this issue of prisoners is resolved, there won't be any intra-Afghan negotiations, and that will further delay the already very fragile Doha peace agreement. Thirdly, I want to talk about Amarullah Saleh being given the charge of the border areas. I know there's always a minister for border and frontiers in Afghanistan, and that also is a very powerful position. So if that minister is strong, I don't think Amrullah Saleh will have the authority or the powers to overrule the minister in charge of the border areas. But Amrullah Saleh will always be the spoiler in terms of the peace talks with Taliban and also in terms of improvement in relations with Pakistan. He won't be alone. There will be others. And that's why, I think it will take a lot of effort and improvement in terms of US-Pakistan relations to be able to also improve relations with Afghanistan. Dostum, is on board because he is an ally of Abdullah. So if he's getting some favors, it's not surprising because Abdullah is going to make peace and share power with Ashraf Ghani. So Dostum and Muhakkik and Karim Khalili, they will all be on board. They will get a share in the power. And I think this is what they wanted from the beginning. Ata Muhammad Noor is an ally of Ashraf Ghani. So he will be supporting Ashraf Ghani. And he has not yet reconciled with Abdullah. So that will also be something which we should be watching. I think that in terms of the US losing or having less interest in Afghanistan, that is understandable because of its internal situation, coronavirus and the economy and all these important issues. So we should be expecting reduced American interest, especially because Trump seems to be losing patience also with the Afghan government. But they still want to work and implement the Doha peace agreement because that is how they can end their involvement in Afghanistan. But this is not looking easy, and that's why they have to keep up the pressure. That's why they are engaged with Taliban and also with the Afghan government, and also Khalilzad and Scott Miller came to Pakistan. So there is that kind of interest to keep the Doha peace agreement intact, but in terms of interest in Afghanistan, they will be giving priority to their own internal situation. I think that overall, we can still say that the Doha peace agreement is holding, if not working. We can still say that this is the biggest opportunity to bring peace and reconciliation, but it has to be implemented. Even if they implement part of the agreement, that will be something. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm thankful to Dr. Shabib, Director, Area Study Center, University of Peshawar, and Lieutenant General Khalid Taimur Akram, Director for Center Global and Strategic Studies, for providing me this opportunity to speak one of the most important topics. And I have been given to deliberate on the capacity of stakeholders and their perspective, whether they would be able to meet the demands of peace. So before going to any discussion, further discussion, to my mind, it's necessary to understand the perspectives and ideological moorings of the different stakeholders in the Afghan peace process. As far as Taliban are concerned, their ultimate aim is to establish Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan. And indirectly, they have mentioned that they would establish Islamic government in Afghanistan, according to, and they have always their own interpretation of Sharia. Taliban always use both conventional and unconventional tactics to pursue their goals. They approximately control 14 districts in Afghanistan, which is about 4% of the country, and maintain an active physical presence in additional 263 districts, approximately 66%. As far as the perspective of the Afghan government is concerned, they consider themselves to be the elected and legitimate government of Afghanistan, recognized by all members of the United Nations. They want a political setup within the parameters of Afghan constitution, believes in pluralism and women's rights, and want to have national reconciliation, and at the same time want cessation of violence on part of the Taliban. During this time, the Afghan government has already nominated their 21 members team, which is headed by Masoom Stanzai. The most important thing in this agreement is the intra-Afghan dialogues. The challenges and issues as far as these dialogues are concerned. The fundamental flaw in this agreement was that internationally recognized Afghan government was not included in the negotiations. By accepting the Taliban demand to exclude the Afghan government, the Trump administration betrayed the ally and elevated the Taliban to the US equal. Moreover, other perspectives which have come up, that is one of the perspectives, as already mentioned by Rahimullah Yusuf, that is government for national reconciliation, which is to be, and there will be two parts as far as suggestions are concerned. As far as the governance is concerned, Ashraf Ghani will deal with the governance, but as far as the negotiation part is concerned, the suggestion is that Abdullah would lead that. There are other significant players like Hamid Karzai, Abdul Rauf Siaf, and others. They have already started mediating between Abdullah and Ashraf Ghani. And the reports are, and the statements as far issued by Abdullah and his spokesman indicates that he has lended support to the 21 delegation, and that delegation has already been also negotiation team hailed by the European Union. Already the General Saab has mentioned that the US have now assigned this task to the European Union. So the European Union have already hailed the negotiating team announced by Ashraf Ghani's government. At the same time, another player, Ahmad Massoud, he has come up with another suggestion that the present Afghan constitution requires structural changes because it is centralized and it does not cater to the different ethnic groups within the Afghanistan. So in order to have a peaceful and just political order in Afghanistan, it is essential to bring structural changes within the constitution of Afghanistan. And he has also suggested to have a federation like a government on the model of Switzerland. As far as the Taliban are concerned, they have refused to engage with the team of negotiators announced by Afghan government, saying that the move violates the insurgent group's peace-building pact with the United States. They have unleashed a new wave of violence. They are not stopping violence. Maintain that the government can participate in intra-Afghan negotiation as a group like other factions in the country. As far as U.S. Secretary of State of Mike Pompeo, he has also now supported the Afghan's negotiated team. Similarly, during the process, Ashraf Ghani has also consolidated his position by appointing Hanifullah Akbar as the foreign minister. Although these moves by appointing Hanifullah Akbar as foreign ministers and other ministers and similarly governors and mayor of Kabul, the Hamid Karzai, Abdul Rasool Sisaf, Yunus Kanuni, and Muhammad Karim Khalibi have urged Ashraf Ghani not to further nominate government officials and wait for the reconciliation process. Now, coming to the implications. In case the intra-Afghan negotiation does not succeed, Afghanistan may plunge into a civil war. It has enabled Trump to withdraw troops before November elections. Conversely, the Taliban can use this opportunity to consolidate its power and ultimately take over government in Kabul. On the positive side, it has a potential to end the fighting in Afghanistan if the signatories and other state actors are sincere in implementing the agreement. This is not a small achievement given how averse the Taliban have been to negotiation in general and talking to the Afghan government, which dismisses as a US puppet in particular. US officials have said that the pace of troop withdrawal will be linked to progress at the intra-Afghan talks table. It has enhanced Pakistan's diplomatic image as a facilitator, vindicated Pakistan's stance for a negotiation settlement, gives her an edge in further parleys within the region. Trump was forced to applaud Pakistan's role even in India. India will be sidelined in this process. It's Al Jazeera and other social medias and other media channels have consider this opportunity as a win-win position for Pakistan. Now, Pakistan cannot be blamed for delay in intra-Afghan talks. Now, the onus is on Ashraf Ghani and Abdullah. Relative peace on western border will relieve Pakistani troops and enable her to concentrate on the eastern border. Government of Pakistan and government of Afghanistan now can initiate joint operations against Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan and IS. At the same time, Afghan-Pakistan Action for Peace and Solidarity has been reactivated. This also provides a window for opportunity for trade, culture exchange programs, and academic and education program. It will enable Pakistan to repatriate about 14 million Afghan refugees, rebuild its strategic relationship with United States of America. The Afghan Taliban based in Afghanistan will be shifted to Afghanistan, and people-to-people contact will improve, as already mentioned, to enhance trade and cultural and education exchange programs. Will increase transportation within Eurasia. It will provide opportunity to Pakistan as a result of the development of mineral and natural resources in Afghanistan. It will attract human resources from Pakistan to Afghanistan in the rebuilding programs. Ease pressure on Pakistan as far as financial action task force is concerned, and it will also steadily supply foreign aid, in particular from United States of America. But on the other side, there is also apprehension if Taliban has a predominant role within Afghanistan, it may encourage hardliners, Islamists in Pakistan, and radical discourse may also gain momentum within Pakistan. In this scenario, Pakistan has to play its card very well. It should be played in such a way that it is acceptable to all stakeholders within Afghanistan. Pakistan interest lies in an intra-Afghan power sharing arrangements that leaves parties dependent on Islamabad for its reinforcement. A government of reconciliation with Taliban as shareholding is Pakistan interest and not a Taliban's exclusive government. So as far as Afghanistan is concerned, I think it requires structure changes within the constitution of Afghanistan, enabling the other stakeholders to have proper power sharing and decentralization of the political power like we have in Pakistan as a federal form of government to cater to the ethnic and cultural identities within Pakistan. So on similar lines, the Afghanistan may redraft their constitutions. Similarly, all the parties will have to be given shares as far as the appointments of governors is concerned. They have to be consulted. Similarly, share to all stakeholders within the future cabinet of Afghanistan. So this will lead to a durable peace if these suggestions are added to. And before entering into the integration, it's necessary that there should be certain confident building measures. That is there should be confirmation of one location for talks with host playing active role of facilitator. A designated mediator must be there. Agenda and rules of the game should be framed. Arrangement for technical assistance should also be there. Interpretation clause and power to mediate for interpretation with the mediator should be there. And last but not least, amend the constitution of Afghanistan. So these are some of my submissions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, I would like to request General Khalid Taimur to please give his views. General Khalid Taimur, please.
जी बहुत शुक्रिया। बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम, अस्सलाम वालेकुम तमाम लोग जो सुन रहे हैं देख रहे हैं। चूँकि वक्त भी कम है और दूसरा जो सुनने वाले हैं उनकी इंटेलेक्ट लेवल भी काफ़ी हाई है, तो मैंने सोचा कि मैं कुछ हकायक बताता जाऊंगा और उससे जो नताइज मैं अखज़ करता हूँ उनका जिक्र करता जाऊंगा, और फिर बाद में अगर क्वेश्चन आंसर सेशन में कोई और बात हुई तो फिर हम तय कर लेंगे। देखिए, सबसे पहली बात तो ये है कि दोहा एग्रीमेंट तमाम की तमाम हम सबको मालूम नहीं है। उसके कुछ क्लॉजेज ऐसे हैं जिनको शेयर नहीं किया गया दुनिया के साथ, तो ये चीज़ जहन में रखनी चाहिए। दूसरी बात यह है कि जिस दिन दोहा एग्रीमेंट हुई उसी दिन एक काबुल डिक्लेरेशन भी हुआ, उसी रोज 29 फरवरी को। सेक्रेटरी ऑफ स्टेट दोहा में थे और जो डिफेंस सेक्रेटरी है वो काबुल में थे। तो अमेरिका ने बड़ी होशियारी के साथ और मैं समझूंगा कि डिप्लोमेटिक प्रोग्रेस शो करते हुए 2 एग्रीमेंट किए एक ही दिन, एक अपने और अफगान तालिबान के साथ और एक अफगान गवर्नमेंट के साथ। तो ये एक लिहाज से ट्राइलैटरल अरेंजमेंट है, जो कि इसमें एक स्प्लिट है कि 2 के साथ एक मुआहदा, 2 के साथ दूसरा मुआहदा। तीसरी हकीकत यह है कि अमेरिका के इंटरेस्ट इस खित्ते में ख़त्म नहीं हुए। अगर कोई कोरोना कोई बहुत बड़ी चेंज ले आए उनकी सोच में, वो अलग बात है, लेकिन जो लोग ये सोचते हैं कि अमेरिका के इंटरेस्ट इस खित्ते में ख़त्म हो गए तो उनको ज़रा रिव्यू करना चाहिए। देखिए, रूस, चाइना, ईरान, पाकिस्तान, सीपैक, इंडियन ओशन, मैंने सिर्फ जिक्र कर दिया है, बाकी तफसीलात जो हैं अपने ज़हनों में आप खुद दे सकते हैं कि ये कैसे इंटरेस्ट हैं और कितने अहम हैं अमेरिका के लिए। अमेरिका अफगानिस्तान से अपनी मर्जी से नहीं जा रहा। अफगानिस्तान एक इतनी स्ट्रेटेजिक पोजीशन है सेंट्रल एशिया, रूस, चाइना और इंडियन ओशन के दरमियान कि वो किसी सूरत में इसको छोड़ना नहीं चाह रहा होगा। बहरहाल इतना कहना काफ़ी है कि वो अपनी मर्जी से यहाँ नहीं जा रहा। लेकिन ये अगर अमेरिकी फ़ौज यहाँ से जा रही है तो इसका ये मतलब हरगिज़ ना समझा जाए कि अमेरिका यहाँ से जा रहा है। अमेरिका अपने इंटरेस्ट परसू करेगा थ्रू अदर मीन्स, और वो सब आप समझते हैं, मुझे ज़्यादा डिटेल में जाने की ज़रूरत नहीं है। और उसमें पाकिस्तान बड़ा अहम होकर फिर दोबारा उभरता है। पाकिस्तान के इंटरेस्ट में है कि मिनिमम इंटरेस्ट हमारा ये है कि पीसफुल और स्टेबल अफगानिस्तान हो, क्योंकि जैसे सारे भाइयों ने कहा है कि पाकिस्तान को बहुत इम्पैक्ट करता है, बहुत इफेक्ट करता है जो भी सिचुएशन अफगानिस्तान की है। और पाकिस्तान का मैक्सिमम इंटरेस्ट ये होगा कि ना सिर्फ ये पीसफुल और स्टेबल हो बल्कि फ्रेंडली भी हो। तो पीसफुल, स्टेबल एंड फ्रेंडली अफगानिस्तान इज द बिग इंटरेस्ट ऑफ पाकिस्तान। और अगर ये ना हो सके तो कम से कम पीसफुल और स्टेबल होना हमारे लिए बहुत ज़रूरी है। तो पाकिस्तान को मेरा ख्याल अपना जो फैसिलिटेशन वाला रोल है वो प्ले करता रहना पड़ेगा, और इस पर मैं थोड़ी देर में दोबारा भी बात करूँगा। हाँ, अलबत्ता ये हमारे ध्यान में होना चाहिए कि कुछ पावर्स ऐसी हैं जो ये चाहेंगी कि ये मुआहदा या तो इस पर अमल दरामद ना हो या इस पर डिले किए जाए, इसमें रखने अड़ाए जाएँ। और सब ने जिक्र किया है, उसमें हिंदुस्तान की रॉ है, उसमें जो प्रेजेंट रजीम है अशरफ गनी का वो भी शामिल होगा, उसमें तहरीक तालिबान पाकिस्तान, ISIL, दाइश, वो लोग जो कारोबार करते हैं मंशियात का, जो गन रनर्स हैं, जो भत्ते लेते हैं, ये वो लोग हैं जो चाहेंगे कि वहाँ पर अमन ना हो और इसी किस्म की अफरा तफरी की सिचुएशन रहे। लेकिन जो अमन चाहने वाले लोग हैं वो ज़्यादा स्ट्रॉन्ग हैं और काफ़ी हैं। सबसे ज़्यादा अफगान अवाम, उसके बाद अफगान तालिबान, पाकिस्तान, ईरान, सेंट्रल एशियन कंट्रीज, रशिया, चाइना। तो ये जो लोग हैं जो चाहते हैं कि अमन हो, और अमेरिका भी चाहेगा एटलीस्ट जब तक उनकी फौजें निकल नहीं जाती कि इस पर अमल दरामद हो। तो मैं ये समझता हूँ कि वो लोग ज़्यादा हैं और ज़्यादा पावर में हैं जो चाहते हैं कि अफगानिस्तान में अमन हो और ये इस पर अमल दरामद हो इस मुआहदे के ऊपर। अब ये है कि फ्यूचर डिस्पेंसेशन की अगर हम बात करें तो मेरे भाई और दोस्त बातें तो कर रहे हैं कि इसको डिसेंट्रलाइज्ड होना चाहिए, जिसमें कोई शक नहीं है, हमेशा से रहा, इसी तरीके से इसको किया जा सकता है। उसको ये मिलना चाहिए, उनको ये मिलना चाहिए। तो पहले ध्यान में ये रखिए कि जब इंट्रा अफगान डायलॉग की बात होती है तो ये ना समझा जाए कि इसका मतलब ये है कि अफगान तालिबान और अफगान गवर्नमेंट। नो, बहुत सारे फैक्शंस और हैं अफगानिस्तान में। और याद रखिए कि पिछले साल मॉस्को में 2 मुलाकातें हो चुकी हैं अफगान तालिबान की। मुख्तलिफ जो फैक्शंस हैं अफगानिस्तान के, उसमें ख्वातीन भी शामिल थी, हज़ारात से, उज़्बेक से, ताजिक से। एक मौके पर तो 100 लोग थे दूसरी तरफ से जो अफगान तालिबान के साथ बातचीत कर रहे थे। तो अफगान तालिबान ऑलरेडी इंट्रा अफगान डायलॉग में पिछले 1 साल से मसरूफ है। ये कोई नई बात नहीं है। ये ठीक है कि देखने में अभी इस हुकूमत के साथ बातचीत हो रही है, ये जो चलनी है उसकी वजूहत भी हमें मालूम है, उनके पास प्रिजनर्स हैं और भी बातचीत। ये जो हम अंदाजा लगा रहे हैं कि ये क्या डिस्पेंसेशन होगी, मेरे अपने अंदाजे में, मेरे ख्याल में ये हमारे तमाम अंदाजे गलत साबित होंगे। ये डायलॉग चलते रहेंगे, ये कुछ थोड़ा सा अमन, थोड़ा सा ये जो परेशानी है ये रहेगी जब तक कि अमेरिकन यहाँ से निकल नहीं जाते, क्योंकि एक मुआहदा किया है अफगान तालिबान ने और मेरे ख्याल वो मुआहदे का पास रखेंगे। जो ही वो यहाँ से निकल जाएंगे उसके बाद हालात यकसर तब्दील हो जाएंगे। और मेरे अपने ख्याल में ये जो मौजूदा हुकूमत है इसके बाद की मैं बात करूं, आपको दूर दूर तक नामो निशान नजर नहीं आएगा। ये मेरा अंदाजा है, मैं गलत हो सकता हूँ। और बहुत सारे और प्लेयर जो हैं अफगान सिचुएशन में वो दाखिल हो जाएंगे और अफगान तालिबान का मेजर पॉलिटिकल स्टेक सामने आ जाएगा। इसलिए कि अगर वो फोर्स जिसने अमेरिकन की बात नहीं मानी, अगर आप ये उम्मीद लगाए बैठे हैं कि वो किसी और की बात मानेंगे, तो मेरा ख्याल है कि वो फिर आप देख लीजिए कि इसके कितने इम्कानात मौजूद हैं, कितने नहीं हैं। पाकिस्तान के लिए इम्प्लीकेशन है बेबहा हैं। इकोनॉमिक इम्प्लीकेशन में साफ ज़ाहिर है कि सी पैक है, सी पैक मुकम्मल तौर पर कारामद नहीं हो सकता जब तक कि सेंट्रल एशिया ना खुले। और चाइना के लिए भी बहुत आसानी पैदा हो सकती है। एक कश्मीर का मसला है, उसको आज चूंकि हम डिस्कस नहीं कर रहे इसलिए उसको अलग रखते हैं। रूस के लिए, अफगानिस्तान के लिए जो हमारी तजारत है उसके पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से, तो इकोनॉमिक पॉलिटिकल बहुत हमारी इम्प्लीकेशंस हैं कि दोबारा हमें इस्तेमाल करने की कोशिश की जाएगी एज ए टूल इन द हैंड्स ऑफ सम बिग पावर्स। अभी ये हमारी लीडरशिप पर मुनहसर होगा कि वो अपने इंटरेस्ट को वॉच करते हैं तरीके से या फिर किसी तरफ चल पड़ते हैं। क्योंकि थोड़े थोड़े कुछ इंडिया ऐसा मिल रहा है। आप देखिए कि अमेरिका ने थोड़ा सा हाथ खींचा है हिंदुस्तान की तरफ से, चाहे वो टेम्परेरी हो या बाहर दिखाने के लिए हो। पाकिस्तान की तरफ झुकाव नजर आया है, कुछ तारीफें हुई हैं, आपको पता है। आपने देखा है कि जो रवैया है वर्ल्ड बैंक का, IMF का, बेशक उस बहाना इसका कोरोना का है, लेकिन ये इतना एक्सपेक्टेड नहीं था कि इतना प्यार और मोहब्बत का वो फौरी तौर पे इजहार करेंगे। FATF ने भी थोड़ी सी ढील देने की कोशिश की है। तो मुझे खदशा है इस बात का कि अमेरिका एक दफा फिर अपना सरवसूख अफगानिस्तान में रखना चाहेगा पाकिस्तान के थ्रू। पाकिस्तान को चाहिए कि अपने इंटरेस्ट के मुताबिक इसको देखे और किसी भी सूरत में चाइना को नाराज न करे, किसी भी सूरत में CPEC को पीछे न होने दे। ये इसको ख्याल रखने की जरूरत है। और क्योंकि ये भी जो इसकी है कंपटीशन है ग्रेट पावर्स की इस इलाके में, वो रहेगी। तो बेस्ट तो पाकिस्तान के लिए ये है कि वो न्यूट्रल रहने की कोशिश करे। लेकिन बाज़ औक़ात दोनों कश्तियों में पाँव रखना आसान नहीं होता। जब कश्तियाँ अलग अलग रास्ते पे जा रही हों तो हो सकता है पाकिस्तान को ये फैसला करना पड़े कि वो किसी एक का साथ दे। इसका हो सकता है कि ऐसा मौका आ जाए। एक और इम्प्लीकेशन है जो हमारे कुछ इंटेलिजेंसिया है वो परेशान है कि अगर अफगान तालिबान का मेजर स्टेक हो गया अफगानिस्तान में और वो एक इस्लामिक एमिरेट इस्टेब्लिश करने में कामयाब हो गए, तो उसका स्पिल ओवर पाकिस्तान में होगा और किस किस्म के हमारे ऊपर असरात पड़ेंगे। उस सिलसिले में मैं सिर्फ एक बात कहना चाहूँगा कि वहाँ पर एक निज़ाम होगा, पाकिस्तान में एक निज़ाम होगा। दोनों निज़ामों का में ये देखा जाएगा कि डिलीवर कौन करता है। जिसने अपनी पब्लिक के लिए आसानी पैदा कर दी इंसाफ के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से, इक्वल इकोनॉमिक अपॉर्चुनिटीज के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से, कानून नाफिज करने के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से, उसके असरात डेफिनेटली दूसरी जगह पर पड़ेंगे। तो हम अगर अपनी जमहूरियत को संभाल लें तो हमारे लिए अच्छा है, वरना ये मुमकिन है कि जो लोग इस खदशे का इजहार कर रहे हैं वो खदशा भी सही साबित हो। बहुत शुक्रिया, थैंक यू।
रिक्वेस्ट करेंगे प्रोफेसर हुसैन शहीद सुरवती से। सर, कैन यू लिसन सर?
आवाज आ रही है मुझे?
जी सर, आप।
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to share my findings and my views on Doha Declaration, Doha Agreement, as well as its impact on the region. I have taken it from a different perspective. I believe that oh, first of all, thank you very much for thanks to Colonel Khalid Jafri and Shabir Khan for inviting me to this forum. I have taken it from a different perspective. I believe that Doha peace process at the moment is coronized. When I say coronized, I mean same comments that Trump administration is quite busy in dealing with the menace at their domestic front, and their focus has a bit shifted from that main to the periphery. One thing. Second thing, this Rahimullah Yousafzai has highlighted this issue very meticulously. The swap, prisoner swap. That is not happening, that is not taking place as it was demanded, as it was the part and parcel of Doha Peace Agreement. Somehow it is quite disappointing. One thing, and then in my writing I have highlighted it, that if Corona sneaks in bad conditioned prisons of Afghanistan, these prisoners who are there with Kabul administration, probably some of them will be the victim of this virus and they would die. And so would be the case with the prisoners with the Taliban. Their death would cause irreparable damages to Doha process. I believe sooner the better. We may not be able to say later on, too little, too late. This is the need of the time that prisoner swap should take place sooner than later. Then the second perspective that I have taken this subject from is that Doha process has taken place, but very recently Americans have threatened Afghanistan's Kabul regime of reducing its financial assistance. Now, probably we are in the end game, American end game, as once upon a time there was end game in 2014. Even before that there was end game in 1991-92. Americans take decisions in those days in haste, and that haste caused waste. That haste caused damage, irreparable damage to the neighboring countries as well as to Afghanistan. Are they going to repeat that? At the moment, we know that the total cost of US cost on raising Afghanistan army is $90 billion. It provides $4 billion to maintain security forces and almost $500 million in civilian aid to Afghanistan. International donations finance 75% of Afghanistan's public expenditure per year. Keeping in view, Doha peace process was to settle an almost 2-year-long effort for a war that has lasted for nearly 2 decades. So if this is happening, American declaration on 23rd of March this year that they would reduce $1 billion financial assistance is making many of us scratching our heads and rather anxious for this entire region. We know that forming the backbone of the country through financing various forms of reconstruction, aid to Afghanistan over the past 18 years is very central, and the United States has approximately invested $137 billion for economic causes, establishing and sustaining Afghan national defense and security forces. In abbreviation, it is called ANDSF. Initially, not clearly stating that which area they would cut, But we know this thing that $4.2 billion of Pentagon allotment in their annual budget for the maintenance of security, of course, that would be the area that they would reduce, which means that reduction of financial assistance to Afghanistan, it would be military of Afghanistan that will bear the front. Afghan army is fighting against the Taliban. Afghan army is fighting against IS. Afghan army is, they are fighting on numerous fronts. They are already overstretched, if I may use this term, and very fighting at one end with insurgents and at the other end with foreign terrorists. They are in the civil war. They are in the war simultaneously. Any reduction in their training, equipment, their facilitation will ruin the whole process of counter-terrorism militarily and Doha peace deal politically. I say this thing again, that being the graveyard of empires, Afghanistan's strategy has been continuously revised on many occasions due to its increasing intricacies. President Trump, in one of his speeches in 2017, specifically highlighted this issue, using the phrase like political settlement through effective efforts of the military, and then making it evident that US policy has mostly been military and security centric. That is quite clear. The accelerated efforts on their behalf are a clear indication of the hasty withdrawal the US is trying to execute, as I stated in the beginning. An example of this is how the peace process was revived in Qatar in 2018. The Trump administration backed off from its long-standing stance, Afghan-led process, resorting to engaging with the Taliban directly. Under the prevailing political circumstances, possibility of myopic decision making can't be neglected. Examining it under the state level analysis of foreign policy, it is apparent win for Trump, especially considering the upcoming elections in November, if they may take place with coronavirus menace. Withdrawal entails two alternate possibilities, ladies and gentlemen, in my audience: an apt contingency plan for stability of region, or just another reminiscent of its past endeavors. Last time, when US won its war against Soviet Union in Afghanistan in 1991, it left this land in haste. Hence, with US short-sightedness, a wonderful victory of winning Cold War was converted into a stupid defeat by the rise of Al-Qaeda and the Taliban in those days. This time, reducing US military assistance to Afghanistan will be countered in the same para: premature, insane, untimely, short-sightedness, and detrimental to Doha peace process. It's important that I must quote two very important people. One is Afghan lawmaker Abdul Qadir Kalatwal, who emphasized that if forces don't receive needed support, it could lead to factions within the army, resulting in a more divided Afghanistan. Similarly, Defense Ministry spokesman General Muhammad Zahir Azmi, he stated that forces have been given more nationalistic color by having quotas based on ethnicity, with 40 to 45% for Pashtuns, 30 to 35% for Tajiks, 10 to 12% for Hazaras, and 8 to 10% for Uzbeks and other groups. Despite these measures to curb the tension, Afghan armies is still dominated by minorities from the north, which is 55% of non-Pashtuns in total that I just stated. If you total non-Pashtuns, they will be 55%. They are in the majority, who see Taliban as oppressors, majority of whom are Pashtuns. In the circumstances, my very important concluding remark is that a $1 billion army, a multi-billion-dollar army needs support rather than Afghan army is already trained and tired of an unending series of wars taking place at home. Internal sign war, civil war, and war. Reduction in their budget will result in their ranks and file, encouraging Taliban to move on further. This may lead to balkanization of Afghanistan at ethnic and sub-ethnic levels, which will hamper the US interest in the region. With US haste policies, no more to Frankenstein effect in this region. American regional strategy and interests still depend on Afghanistan's government and its security forces. Doha peace process will be successful only and only when bargaining position of Kabul regime would be stronger. With the reduction of military financial assistance to Afghanistan, Kabul regime will weaken. And this weakening will give more strength to the Taliban, who will gain grounds for having more and more favors and benefits during intra-Afghan dialogue. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your attention.
अब रिक्वेस्ट करेंगे डॉक्टर सिंबल खान, कंसल्टेंट UNDP, and she is an expert on Afghanistan. Dr. Simbal, can you hear us?
Can you hear me now, Ji?
जी बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, you are loud and clear. Please, this is your turn now.
Ji, thank you. First of all, thank you for inviting me into this very august forum, and great to connect with everyone else who works on Afghanistan. I think trying not to repeat all the good stuff that has already been said and expressed before, and I largely agree with most of the analysis, given that when you come a little later, a lot of things have already been said. I think I'll try and focus on a few things that I feel were left unsaid, or we need a little bit more attention on going forward from where we stand in Afghanistan's context right now, which is basically a kind of a shuddering start to the Doha peace process, to the intra-Afghan dialogue. We are here, we don't know how it's going to move forward, it still hasn't moved forward. Two things very important to remember. I think they're within, first of all, it seems to be in this, there's supposed to be these two parties to the discussion in the intra-Afghan dialogue, which is, of course, the Ghani government or Afghan government, the political setup within the post-Bon 1 and Bon 2 Afghanistan political setup, and the Taliban on the other side. But as we've said before, it's not a very cohesive, that's not a really very cohesive picture actually, because within that there are huge number of factions. And within the heart of the political polity in what we think the Ghani government is, this factionalization, which is obvious to everyone and we all know about it, but it means certain very important things about where this dialogue is going to go and what are the expectations from the dialogue from these two kind of parties who are starting this dialogue. Let me talk a little bit about Abdullah leading the dialogue process on heading the Afghan Peace Council. I think his key interest, of course, Abdullah is seeking some kind of power. I mean, he was going to negotiate something out of it. I mean, the last elections also, the two presidents, the chief executive position was negotiated somehow to maneuver power. But that was still, again, a very different time. Right now, him agreeing, he's also kind of playing with some cabinet positions, but his key agreement of why he wanted to be or agreed to be leading the dialogue process, there are certain contexts to it. And that is very important to remember. I don't think Ghani and Abdullah, although they have set up a team, which is a unified team, which the government has put in, I don't know, a number of people that they've put in. It's a unified joint negotiating team, but both the sides are trying to negotiate to different ends. Why I'm saying that is from Abdullah's side, his interest to negotiate with the Taliban is that is one way of leading to the end of this Ghani's elected government. Abdullah faction getting into the dialogue process are not interested in 5 more years of Ghani government. They are hoping, as the Taliban are hoping, that this peace process is going to lead quickly within a year or so to some kind of an interim setup where a new setup comes forward, because they did not recognize Ghani's election also, and there's a lot of doubt whether that should hold. Ghani is getting into this and agreeing to it willy-nilly, this process, and we can see from their attitude, they're trying to delay it as much as possible. we're delaying on the prisoner exchange, by delaying on every level, is that he wants to go through his 5 more years of government as far as long as possible. So there are huge divergent forces within this whole process, which is very complicated. And I think that basically one danger of this is that we are seeing that with Amrullah Saleh. That's why Amrullah Saleh's role has been mentioned before and comes forward again here. Ghani is using NDS, Ghani is using Amrullah Saleh. Amrullah Saleh's appointment to the border forces is basically also to take charge of a number of these non-state militias that they've set up, which have not even been nominally under NDS, like KSF and KPF, the Coast Protection Force and Kandahar Security Force and others. There are thousands of those which are directly run by CIA. NDS is, and Amrullah's role is this vague role, but they want to use them against in reprisal attacks against Taliban, which you all have heard now recently. Taliban are claiming that they've stopped the talks and will not go into it because there have been these night raids and strikes on Taliban homes and residences in a very specific way, like it was done just after 9/11, when most of the Taliban had gone to their own villages, where their reprisal attacks were taken out against them and forced them to leave, and they finally left and moved into Pakistan. So the messaging is very strong here that you're not going to be safe, and Ghani is using that. The other thing, Ghani faction or the people around Ghani, including Amrullah and others who are more, who benefit more from a status quo. They feel that, you know, willy-nilly they've fought a war with Taliban, there is a status quo that continues. The Americans, while complaining, still continue supporting them because nobody wants Afghanistan to collapse into chaos. And they're also wagering the corona, as people have mentioned, the corona crisis. They're also looking at how the elections are going to take place and what is going to be the election result in US elections in November. There are polls which are saying that the Trump victory, which looked completely, you know, a decided case, is no longer the case. That Trump may lose that election. That would mean a Democratic government coming in, Democrats coming in, settling in, another year and a half going, settling with the new government. And the new government that comes in, no matter what they personally think about, they are not going to likely take ownership of Trump's deal. So there is a delay from Ghani, this prisoner exchange, fighting over each and every little thing. It's a proper strategy that Ghani government is thinking, at least the faction which is close to Ghani is thinking and playing on. They want to delay this. Their process, that starting the dialogue process will be that it should start and stop and start and stop. They want to see how the play is going to be post-November. So there's a lot of wagering going on. That's why there is this incitement for Taliban to break the dialogue. They keep on saying it's the Taliban who are breaking the dialogue. So those problems are there. I'm not saying that this is how it's going to fall back, but these are the things that we as Pakistan needs to be, and I think Pakistan is kind of cognizant of that. The new figure that Ghani government on prisoners exchange, I think both when Zalmay Khalilzad and I think Greg Miller or somebody visited, I think a week ago, to the Pakistani side and met Bajwa, General Bajwa. I think the figure they've increased to about 2,000 plus. They're ready to release. The Taliban have yet to accept this reduced number, but there was a request to Pakistan that we should kind of step in and tell the Taliban that to start off, they should agree to this reduced figure and we should move on with the dialogue. So these things are going on, but there's a lot that's riding on right now. There's a lot till November that can happen. So there's a wagering there because there are two factions who want different ends to this dialogue process. The end is not just how power sharing between Taliban and Ghani government. The end that's being debated is what happens to Ghani government also. So that is one. And I think one important thing to remember, I want to talk a little bit about, is the regional platform. And I think it's been mentioned before also, how to engage the region at this point. Especially for me, the one aspect of the region which is the missing piece is Iran. in this whole process, because of US-Iran abject relationship, Iran has not been included. Iran is a huge player. Iran has a huge kind of an impact on what happens inside inside Afghanistan. So the question is, how does Iran come on a platform, or what platform does Iran come on where all these processes can be discussed? I think there is some kind of a little talk. I don't know if it's going to go anywhere. It has happened within Pakistan also, I think, between the Pakistan and the Americans, over the possibility, and even in the UN level, over the possibilities of restarting 6+2 framework, basically with the aim that, of course, getting China and other countries on board, also a platform, but also mainly to get Iran on board on a platform where, you know, both US and Russia there as well to debate Afghanistan. There was some meeting in UN over that, I think, last month, which didn't go anywhere because Afghanistan again tried to jettison the whole thing by saying that they wanted to include India in it. And of course, Pakistan said no, that, you know, that doesn't really fit into the framework. But I think if there's a window to that, that is something Pakistan should push forward. I think Pakistan is interested. I think Pakistan itself has also tried to sensitize the Americans over the importance of getting Iran on board on this. And it doesn't have to mix into the Doha process, which is a more an intra-Afghan thing. And this parallel regional platform should continue. Also, there are many benefits and merits now to get the international community and international multilateral institutions involved now. This kind of small conversations in rooms will continue, but I think if there has to be a post-US Afghanistan, I think the UN role should be expanded so that, you know, all kinds of multilateral guarantees can come and give confidence to the process. I'll stop here and then we can maybe continue talking a bit more later.
Thank you very much, madam, for your comments, and we will again get back to you during the question answer session. We'll now go to University of Sargodha. Dr. Ashfaq Ahmed from the IR department, University of Sargodha with us. Dr. Ashfaq, can you listen?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Your turn now.
Okay, so thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. And I will be talking about or expressing my views under the heading of Peace Deal is an opportunity for stability in Pakistan and stabilize deterrence and strategic stability in the region. So I will be broadly, I will be talking under this heading. So before that, I will be talking about two important aspects of the deal. One of the important aspect is that earlier United States was calling that Taliban, they are an insurgent group. They were also labeled as terrorist group and oppressors. But we have seen that United States has signed an agreement with Taliban. The second important aspect of this deal is that military channel that was established under the agreement. And we have seen that General Scott Miller, he has held a meeting with Taliban leadership in Doha office, wherein two important issues were discussed. The first was prisoner release, and we have already heard some of the speakers there saying that Afghan government is under immense pressure from United States on the prisoner release issue. The second issue that was discussed during the meeting was that Taliban concerned that the United States is breaching the agreement. So these were the two important aspects. Now coming back to the military channel, if you look at this military channel, it has a significant importance because it will improve the confidence and security building measures, and it also will mitigate the mistrust between Taliban and the American government. And if we just look at the history, we have seen that after 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis, hotline was established between Soviets and Americans, and
Dr. Ashfaq, आपकी आवाज नहीं आ रही।
सर, अब आवाज आ रही है आपको?
जी बिल्कुल अब आ रही है। Now we can listen to you. Now we can listen to you.
Sir, right, sir. So I was talking about military channel that was being established between the American government and Taliban. So this is of significant importance because it will improve the confidence and security building measures between US and Taliban, and moreover, it will mitigate the trust between the two sides. Let us not forget the 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis, which led to the establishment of hotlines. And later on, the US and Soviet, they were able to overcome their crisis. Secondly, if you look at the Trump, he tweeted and which led to the suspension of dialogue process. So in external forces, they involved and they then resumed the dialogue process, which led to this signing of the agreement. And then third example is of a P5+1 negotiation with Iran that led to the signing of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. As far as India and Pakistan are concerned, we have seen that we have suspended dialogue. In fact, Indians, they have suspended the dialogue, and it has resulted in 2019 Balakot crisis, and before that we had 2016 false flag operation. Now I'll be talking about the perception about this deal prevailing in the United States. The main critic of this deal in the United States was John Bolton, and he compared this agreement with Paris Peace Accord, wherein he said that wherein Americans, they signed agreement with North Vietnam in 1973. He has also compared this agreement with Operation Frequent Wind, wherein the United States, it evacuated its embassy staff from South Vietnam. So this is the main, points which has been shared by Bolton. And there are other circles in the America. They are also, they're also criticizing this particular deal, calling that United States retreat. This is a document of surrender, a policy of appeasement. It encourages totalitarianism. So these are different, types of criticism that has been labeled against this this agreement. So as far as Afghanistan is concerned, there is also some perception about the deal. A small segment of Afghan society believe that it will bring peace in Afghanistan, but majority of the people in Afghanistan, they say that Taliban, they attacked the government, yet they were recognized. Secondly, if you look at the peace deal, it has given recognition to Taliban and legitimized them, and it has taken everything from the government. For instance, you look at Sirajuddin Haqqani, he inked an article, and that was published in the New York Times. Later on, Trump, he announced that to meet Taliban leaders, and Trump, he has also called Mullah Brother in Doha office. The third issue to support their the critics, they are using the third argument, which they say that counter-terror operations that they have been outsourced to Taliban by United States. And moreover, that earlier Taliban, they were viewed as oppressor and insurgents and pariah, but today they are viewed as peace partners. So this is this is the perception of Afghanis about the deal. And Afghanis, they have also perceptions about Pakistan. For example, they say that Taliban have been supported by Pakistan. And secondly, Taliban, they were able to defeat United States because of Pakistan. And they say that if Iran can be accused of, if we can hold Iran responsible for US defeat in Iraq, Pakistan can also be held responsible for US defeat in Afghanistan. And moreover, they say that India was also deliberately kept out of this peace process to please Pakistan. And they say that Pakistan and Taliban, they have working relationship. Look at the presence of Foreign Minister of Pakistan while the agreement was being signed, and at the occasion, Taliban, they thanked Pakistan for their role. So they basically quote these instances in order to solidify their argument. As far as Afghan political circles are concerned, or Ashraf Ghani is concerned, they are criticizing Pakistan government, and that they are not acknowledging Pakistan's role that has it played in order to create a conducive environment so that it can lead to negotiation, and ultimately it resulted in the signing of the agreement. So these are the perception, and one last perception which prevails in Afghanistan about Pakistan, that is there are differences among intra-Afghan groups, and that is consolidating Pakistan-backed Taliban position. Before talking about prospects, I will be talking about the implication for Pakistan. The deal, it was the first step, and Pakistan played an important role. We know all this, but the second phase, it is most important and crucial phase, And in this, Pakistan may not be able to play a crucial role. Secondly, a united Afghan government can restrict Pakistani influence in Afghanistan. Third, Taliban gained international recognition and they can become overconfident, so they can challenge Pakistan in future. Thirdly, as far as Indian intelligence agencies are concerned, they can reach Taliban to work to create a working relationship with the Taliban. For example, they can reach Abdul Ghani Baradar as he was in Pakistan's custody, and he may have feeling of resentment against Pakistan. They have second option, which is Sher Abbas, because he has been graduated from Indian military. So this is the second option which RAW has to approach and influence Taliban. Another thing is that they are a splinter group. For example, Mashhad Shura, which is based in Iran, so that can also create problem for Pakistan in the future. Now, India, if you look at it, it can learn from the Chinese, Russian, Iranian, and American approach. As all these states, they have established a working relationship with Taliban. So India can also learn from them, and they can also have, a working relationship. Now, there is another front, which is diplomatic front, or the Indian writers. India, since it is disappointed and believe that its investment in Afghanistan, it has not paid off. So Indian scholars, their speakers, their think tanks, their diplomatic staff, they have launched propaganda against Pakistan, stating that Pakistan support Lashkar-e-Taiba and that Pakistan harbored Al-Qaeda. Look at Osama bin Laden, he was living next to the Pakistan Military Academy. So this is the Indian propaganda which has been launched against Pakistan. Now I'm coming to the concluding portion, which is a prospect for Pakistan. So the first point is that prior to signing of this deal, we have seen that coalition and American forces, they launched operation against TTP leaders, and some of them were killed. Secondly, Taliban and Haqqani network, it is recognized by United States and international community, so Pakistan can establish working relationship with them openly, and they can outsource their counterterrorism operation. It means that Pakistan will be emulating US policy. Because recently US State Department, it has issued a statement stating that there are 3,000 to 5,000 TTP fighters in Afghanistan. Thirdly, Pakistan with Taliban supporter will enjoy edge over security situation in Afghanistan. It will lead to countering RAW's anti-Pakistan activities through its consulate in Afghanistan. So it means that there will be stability in Pakistani tribal areas and Balochistan. Moreover, if you look at TTP's RAW-funded activities, it required Pakistan to deploy 1/3 of its military in FATA, previously known as FATA. So we have seen that because of this deployment, Pakistan military was overstretched. Despite the fact that there had been Balakot crisis, we could not deploy our forces in on the eastern border. And now, after outsourcing our counterterrorism operations to Taliban of Afghanistan, we will be able to redeploy them on the eastern border. So it will enable us to counter land warfare doctrine of India, and it is a proactive military action. Secondly, it requires Indian military to carry out swift military operations, and they have carried out several military exercises in April and May 2018. You can Google them by the name of Gagan Shakti and Vijay Prahar. And as far as the land warfare doctrine is concerned, page 12 of land warfare doctrine, it talks about war fighting in chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear environment. So this is the overall scenario that we are going to have with India. Again, coming back to land warfare doctrine, it emphasizes to incorporate emerging technologies, artificial intelligence, network-centric warfare. They're moving toward ensuring full spectrum escalation dominance vis-a-vis Pakistan. So because of this, they are going to have T-90 MS tanks. 464 tanks will be procured from the Russians during 2022 to 2026, and they will be deployed in Punjab and Rajasthan near Pakistani border. As far as this T-90 tanks is concerned, this enable its crew to fight in chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear environment. And moreover, it can target and destroy other enemy tanks. It is also equipped with the anti-aircraft guns, 6P7K, anti-guided missiles, So these are the features, and it can also operate at night. Now I will be talking about S-400 because this is important ballistic missile defense system that India is going to have, and the delivery will start from December 2021. If this S-400 is deployed at Jalandhar, Indian Air Force will be able to shoot Pakistani fighter jets over Islamabad. And if it is deployed in Himachal Pradesh, Indian Air Force will be able to cover entire Kashmir. Again, if it is deployed in Amritsar, it will enable Indian Air Force to neutralize Pakistan aircrafts over Peshawar. It means that once this system is deployed, it will make Pakistani Air Force a no-fly zone for its own aircrafts during crisis-like situation. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saab. Since two of the speakers are still not online, we would like to go for the question answers session. And first of all, I would like to invite for the first comment and question, Brigadier Akhtar Nawaz Janjua from Rawalpindi. Brigadier Akhtar Nawaz Janjua.
Thank you, Khalid. I just have a few comments after listening to the learned speakers. I think most of the concerns they have expressed, I share those concerns. If we see, not going beyond 1979, these 4 decades, I would say about 5 generations of Afghanis have seen the war, and they have actually grown under this condition of dying and killing, with new rules added to killing and dying. The divide, the ethnic divide, somebody has talked about that, the lingual divide, the skirmish is still going on between the different forces, and what is happening at the highest level with Abdullah and Ashraf Ghani. I think I don't see that somebody talked about the civil war. That can be a real threat. And that would be a very, very dangerous scenario for Pakistan. Because once the US withdraws, and as they said, they may withdraw their forces, they would like to stay around. But once they withdraw, and if it is no holds barred thing in Afghanistan, then probably Pakistan would be in a serious trouble than what we are. And if history is something to look back to, whatever we have been doing, I think that has never been reciprocated by Afghanistan. Very recently, you have seen on the border our posts coming under attacks, and I think they're just the harbingers of new things which can come. Now, how can the Afghan be stabilized if there's a leadership which rises above all these prejudices? And I don't see that. And then wherever the occupation forces go, and especially the American boots, they bring in destruction, and they don't build anything. They leave the countries like that, they go back. So rebuilding of Afghanistan, a lot of effort would be required. Implications of Pakistan have been covered very adequately by all the speakers. The options, I'm sure the people at the helm of affairs are thinking about the options what to do. But then we cannot change the geography, and we will have to live through that in whatever possible way we can. So these are my 2 cents, no questions. I think I share all the concerns and the implications, and as far as the options are concerned, let those people who are on the job work out the options. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Jalasa Durrani is also with us online. Jalasa Durrani, sir, we would like to have your few comments.
Very briefly, I can understand why people want the best for the region. And that is why, you know, all the good wishes are welcome, except that they're not likely to take place. A couple of things are unavoidable. Some sort of a civil war is likely. In fact, it is already on. The best options, as the Chinese must have also said, are never available. Go for the second best. Keeping out of Afghanistan would have been very nice, except that we'll probably not have that option. Either some other regional powers will get involved or get sucked in, and we'll have to be there. So The second best option, play a constructive role. And what is that going to be? Again, the best would be a consensus government. I think someone did talk about, all sections or all factions being important because they can play the spoiler. It's true. Most of the people may want peace, but any spoiler, whether it's India or Abdullah Saleh or anyone else, can, muddy the water. And that is why the second best option, and that is my recommendation, since we have to get involved, most likely result will be a Taliban-dominated government. So work in that direction, bring all other factions that can come on board, like I think it will be the Karzais and Abdullah and the Mohicks and so on, try and bring them on board. That will be the first phase in which you create some semblance of security. And then it's not going to be forever. It will keep evolving over a period of time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. We also have, now we would like to take one question. Dr. Zamina Baloch from Islamia College University. Are you online?
I hope, sir. Assalamu alaikum. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, Dr. Zamina, you can put your question, please.
Okay, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I might have missed some of the discussion due to some internet issues, but what points I have right now, I would like to share it. As General Lodi Saab, he stated that US is leaving, whether it wants or not. But its interest will remain there in the region, and it will involve through different means. So what I want to ask is that, as General Saab mentioned, that they will be involved in the region, so the dynamics is definitely going to change. So are there these other factors like Abdullah Saleh, India, and these dynamics going to create problem, which we are going to again see this power vacuum and then this involvement, and how Pakistan is going to deal with it? Are we like still, can we take this pressure, Iran being not directly involved, Pakistan being facing these problems along with economic issues? So, sir, can we expect positive things to come up?
Rahimullah Yusuf Zai साहब, अगर आप ऑनलाइन हैं तो अगर इस क्वेश्चन का आंसर कर दें। Rahimullah Yusuf Zai साहब।
जी, मैं ये समझता हूँ कि मैं हमेशा ये कहा करता था और अब भी मैं इस बात पर कायम हूँ कि अमरीकी ना तो पाकिस्तान की मदद के बगैर अफगानिस्तान में रह सकते हैं, ना पाकिस्तान की मदद के बगैर वो अफगानिस्तान से जा सकते हैं। ये दोनों बातें तकरीबन साबित हो चुकी हैं। बहरहाल इस पर कोई ऊंच नीच थोड़ी बहुत हो सकती है। मेरा अपना ख्याल ये है कि अमरीकियों ने दोबारा ये रिव्यू की है अपनी पूरी सिचुएशन और दोबारा बैंक करना चाह रहे हैं वो पाकिस्तान के ऊपर ही कि वो उनके इंटरेस्ट इस इलाके में देखें। अभी मुझे नहीं मालूम कि इसमें किस हद तक हकीकत है, ये मेरा अंदाजा है। और मैंने ये भी बताया कि ये अंदाजा मैं क्यों लगा रहा हूँ, क्योंकि जो प्यार मोहब्बत पिछले दिनों में बढ़ा है उसके और जो उनके नीचे इदारे हैं उनमें जो प्यार मोहब्बत बढ़ा है, उससे मैंने ये अंदाजा लगाया कि वो दोबारा आपको अपना टूल के तौर पे, अपने स्टूज के तौर पे इस्तेमाल करना चाह रहे हैं। मैं ये समझता हूँ कि पाकिस्तानी लीडरशिप को अपनी पोजीशन समझनी चाहिए और बजाय इसके कि हम किसी के हाथ में खेलें, हमें अपना इंटरेस्ट देखना चाहिए। और उसमें हो सकता है कि हमें कोई दुश्वारियां भी हों, क्योंकि हमारी कुछ एलीट है जो कि ज़्यादा वेस्टर्नाइज्ड है, ज़्यादा अमेरिकनाइज्ड है, वो हमेशा हमें उस तरफ लेके जाते हैं, जबकि कुदरती तौर पे जो हमारे डायरेक्शन बनती है वो ईस्ट बनती है, वो चाइना बनता है, वो रशिया बनता है, वो सेंट्रल एशियन कंट्रीज बनते हैं। तो देखिए, अगर हम अपने कार्ड सही खेलें तो मेरा ख्याल है कि सिचुएशन बेहतर होगी। और ये जो आप कह रही हैं कि क्या ये जो लोग स्पॉयलर्स हैं वो इसको स्पॉयल कर पाएंगे, मेरा अपना अंदाजा ये है कि जो अमन चाहने वाली फोर्सेज हैं, जैसे मैंने कहा, वो ज्यादा ताकतवर हैं और स्पॉयलर्स शायद इस दफा काम को स्पॉयल नहीं कर पाएंगे। जी,
Thank you, sir, for answering. Thank you so much. I'm obliged.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zarmina. Now we would like to go to Lahore. Lahore में हमारे पास साथ available हैं Dr. Mahmood. He's a geostrategic expert इस region के. Dr. Mahmood, sir, for your comment.
Thank you very much for giving me the time to comment on the previous different speaker. So good thing is that most of the speakers speak in a positive way how to Pakistan respond in the post Doha peace conference between the Taliban and America. My suggestion is that Pakistan should gradually discard its so-called strategic depth scenario or policy of the past and should act a balancing act. What I mean to say balancing act, because you all know that physically Afghanistan has been divided into two parts. Taliban, Dr. Ashraf Ghani government and the Abdullah representing the Northern Alliance. So balancing act is or should be like that, a balance position towards Ashraf Ghani and the Northern Alliance, because most of the strategic alliance should be formed in near future from the soul of the Northern Alliance, especially with the Central Asian countries. So before President Speaker also speak about the role of regionalism or regional approach. Yes, we can and we should have a balanced regional approach, because keeping in view China, Russia, and Central Asian countries. And I would suggest that Iran should not be the part of that pursuits of political harmony or stability, with special reference to Pakistan, because Iran has not been so trustworthy, especially with us. So other thing is that there are a lot of gray areas in the post-Afghan scenario. Take the example of dishonesty among Afghans, disharmonies on the issue of political system, constitution, governance system, elimination of warlords, intra-Afghan dialogue, which has to be started after the Doha peace agreement. Several or severe ethnic divide, even with the Taliban or other section of the Afghanistan. Dysfunctional government, which I have already explained, that there are now the Northern Alliance and the Dr. Ashraf Ghani government is going on parallelly. So the last thing is that's composition of interim government, which will decide the fate of Afghanistan and its relationship between the other regional countries. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. साथ जुमा खान सूफी साहब भी हैं. सर आप भी काइंडली अगर ऑनलाइन हैं तो हम पहले आपकी बात सुन लेते हैं, then we go to Mr. Amir Durrani. Mr. Juma Khan Sufi साहब.
My point is that generally all the points have been discussed by the panel. And my point is that one thing which the policymakers in Pakistan lacks is the real ethos of Afghanistan. Therefore, whatever we do, it is our stand has been appreciated by Americans, by all neighbors except India during this negotiation in Doha, and our facilitation of these agreement. But one thing which Pakistan needs, it needs not only to please the neighbors, to please the Americans, but also to solve its own problems. And this own problem with, as regard to Afghanistan has always been its issues, which still creates doubts in Afghanistan, which still creates feelings of Pakistan bashing in Afghanistan, and that can only be decided when we both recognize each other national sovereignty and territorial integrity. Afghanistan has never been and will never be prepared to
recognize this, international fact. Therefore, this anti-Pakistan bashing will continue. And General Lodi said that we should have a normal country, normal, stable Afghanistan there. But if you want to have a friendly country there, and that can only happen that Afghanistan comes to the conclusion that we need to have a separate Pakistan without having any claim on its territorial integrity and any redundant claim on it. To my mind, Pakistani policymakers have been dealing with Afghanistan through narrow diplomatic tunnel, to narrow operational tunnel, and they have no political and ideological approach towards Afghanistan, because Pakistan doesn't know the languages of Afghanistan, their literature of Afghanistan, what impels them to create anti-Pakistan feelings in Afghanistan. And it's a long history. Afghanistan has never been friendly to Pakistan. It's a long history, and India has also contributed towards it, or nationalists have also contributed towards it. And that is it. They, in their hearts of hearts, they never recognize Pakistan in the present borders. And until and unless they recognize this, the friendly relation with Afghanistan will not be able to bear any fruit. So, and I remember, if you listen to, if you go to the interview given by General Faiz Ali Chishti, and he says, and this is on internet with the Goindi in Tanazur, and in which says that President Dawood, when came here and he wanted to declare it on Pakistani soil that Afghanistan recognizes the Durand line, but what General Zia told him, then don't do it here. I will come there, Kabul, and then you do it there. And what happened? When he went there, he just forgot about it. That mindset towards Afghanistan still operates here in Pakistan. And therefore, the friendly Afghanistan will not come into being unless that problem is loudly and clearly solved on behalf of Afghanistan. And Pakistan has already lost many occasions, like Bonn agreements. When it was doing, Pakistan just forgot about it in order to please the Americans. And I remember one that Reagan and President Gorbachev had decided to sign the Geneva Agreement on 9th of April 1988. What happened there? That at the 11th hour, the Foreign Minister of Afghanistan, Abdul Wakil, refused to sign it. And when he refused to sign it, Gorbachev came to Tashkent, called Dr. Najibullah to Tashkent and asked him why your foreign minister is not going to sign it. And when he telephoned him, he said, I'm not going to sign it because I'm the leader of, also like you, I'm also the leader of the party. If it is a party decision, I'm the leader of the party. I'm not party to it. I will not sign it. When Dr. Najib comes back to Kabul, the Politburo decides to replace the foreign minister. In the meanwhile, Gorbachev sends his man, Yuli Vorontsov, to Geneva. And when he goes to Geneva, he prevails upon Wakil to sign it. And it's like, what Wakil says that I'm not going to sign it in this wording about the instrument of non-interference. And then when Yuli Vorontsov looked at the wording of the set, he appreciated his stance. He went to Schultz, the American Foreign Secretary, and Schultz prevailed upon then Noorani, and the wording was changed, and then it was signed on 11th of April. In the meantime, what happened? In the meantime, when Najib and they were going to replace Wakil, when they appreciated the Russian appreciated the stance of Abdul Wakil, then the Afghan government launched Ajmal Khatak, and we had a demonstration denouncing the Durand line and castigating Durand and all these things, all these stuffs, and there was a demonstration. So I say that Pakistan does not understand up till now, or policymakers, they do not understand that what policy should be towards Afghanistan, because our dealing with Afghanistan is on diplomatic level and on operational level, not on political and not on ideological level. We have not given any favor to this point. Indians, they know it, and they are using Afghanistan every time, because all the files of Indian political intelligence, the British political intelligence, have been left in Delhi, and the Delhi British India used to prevail upon the Kabul Lower Jargas and all how they influenced, how they given money to the Afghan rulers, and how they influenced those Jargar decision. Pakistan doesn't know it, and India is dealing it favorably, and it will deal with Afghanistan favorably, and they will inculcate this bad feeling toward Pakistan in Afghanistan. So that's my point, that what we lack that we don't understand the ethos, the grassroots knowledge of Afghanistan, and that needs to understand their mindset, and that needs to understand their literature, and nobody is giving any attention to that problem. So thank you. Just I wanted to raise this point.
Thank you very much, sir. Now we'll again come back to Islamabad, and I'll go to Mr. Amir Zafar Durrani. Let me introduce you, Mr. Amir Zafar Durrani. He is also a member of our CGSS, and he's a economics and financial expert. Mr. Amir Zafar Durrani.
Thank you very much, Khalid Saab. And I must say that after listening to Juma Saab, I was very impressed, because he kind of did a prelude to my points and the questions I wanted to ask all the erudite panelists. Please, just for your information, I mean, since I have been a visitor to Afghanistan as a civilian since the 70s, I had the privilege of spending from 9/11 till about 2010 April, almost 160 days a year in Afghanistan. I personally worked with Hanif and also with Ashraf and many of the other ministers in those era, in my capacity as giving aid to Afghanistan through the World Bank. But I want to bring out that when Juma Saab talked about the ideology, I want to give you 3 numbers on the ideology of money, which I think, having some ancestors in Afghanistan, I think I am able to talk about. And the ideology of money of Afghanistan, which one of the speakers alluded to, is as follows. Today, if you look at the Afghan budget, it's, I mean, basically $11 billion is what runs the country. This is the legal money on the budget, right? Of which half goes to security, half goes to civilian. Of this money, Afghanistan is only able to collect less than $2.5 billion a year. Now, let me put that number in context. This $2.5 billion a year matches even the lowest production of opiates in 2018, where this same size of return to farmer is 1.4 to 2.2 billion US dollars. The street value on the Balkan route alone of these Afghan opiates, as reported by UNODC, is about $28 billion in 2018. Now, what do I mean by putting this forefront? What I mean by putting this forefront is a lot can be bought by this money. And I think we always, when we talk of ideology, we keep forgetting that the Zar-Zan Zameen was never a joke for any part of Afghanistan. Yes, there are many ethnicities, there are 4 river catchments which matter in Afghanistan, but my first point is that we need to bring this equation, which is different from when the last time the Americans had to leave or abandoned Afghanistan. So I think we need to be understanding. And my point number 1 is that Afghanistan, you pick up an economic survey of Afghanistan 1961, which I did recently in the Kuchai Gulfaroshi in Kabul, that basically Afghanistan has always been an unviable state. It cannot earn enough to feed itself. Now, that has happened primarily because it has never been given the recognition or proper recognition of a state. So I think that one of the reasons why I'm mentioning this, what I call the economic or financial ideology of Afghanistan, because I accept all the points made by all the previous speakers, but I think this is an important point, because what happens is that this money that Afghanistan, the $2 billion, if this is all that Afghanistan is left with, it again falls back into being an unviable state. The Tawan or the toll that Afghanistan will be collecting is a third from the trade with Iran, a third from Uzbekistan, a third from Pakistan. Given those scenarios, I just want to ask a question. Is regionalism really dependent on ideology of territory, or does it also include the ideology of finance? Because I think that's going to be very, very much foremost in this post-American, well, let's put it this way, less boots on the ground scenario. Now, the second thing, and I want to also ask you, the speakers, how they see this as impeding our look east policy, which was mentioned, which is, I agree, yeah, we are naturally positioned to be looking towards Russia. I'm a person who talks a lot about the Karachi-Russia connectivity, Moscow connectivity. But my question again is, should all these things that we have talked about play out? Because there were some very rosy scenarios posted by some of the speakers, which they were posted in the 90s as well. But I think it will increase the impedance to the Pakistan trade routes to the Central Asia, number 1. I'm not even talking about political economy, so as you can see, I'm only going to stick with finance. The second question, have we focused on how, whether it's India, whether it's the Americans, whether it's the aid community as a whole, or whether it's the 2009 Tokyo conference, or whatever you look at, how has poor governance been playing a role into keeping the chance for lining personal pockets alive? Now, I have, because of my personal knowledge of and knowing some of these people, I've seen how they take Bismillah Kamavi, take Hadi, take the last finance minister of Afghanistan, take Hanif, take all these guys. I visit Dubai occasionally. If you just go and see their lifestyle there, you will understand that this period of somehow not enough governance and keeping people backward has played into lining the pockets of what I call are the emerging future landlords. If you look at Sardar Ghalib and the people who financed Ashraf Ghani, you will start understanding. And my question therefore is, are we thinking about this? Because this poor governance also spills back into us. The third question is, have we considered the role of Kabul? Because Kabul has always been viewed as the pagan capital and not real Afghanistan. So what do we think about that? Does it really matter who rules Kabul? My last question again comes back to the fact that do we have a complete understanding of, and I agree with Juma Sahab, the ideology that drives Afghanistan, but I would just like that we add to that word ideology, including the romanticism we have with the heart of Asia, that we actually add this thing about the actual money and the trails of money around Afghanistan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. I would like to request Rahimullah Yusufzai Sahab to please answer all these things. Rahimullah Yusufzai Sahab, aap hain line pe? Professor Survati can answer.
I'm taking the floor. The questions that have been asked are very pertinent and very need of the moment stuff. Let me ask some of them that I have grasped. Regionalism is the need of the time, but in the circumstances when every country in South Asia is going a different mantra, like India is moving towards one side, Afghanistan is continuously a troubled region, Iran is still the hostage the different sanctions. Our policy is not even independent vis-a-vis Iran, and then even Pakistan and China are having some collaborative efforts, economic collaborative efforts, and for that matter, we are having a lot of pressure from different other extraterritorial states. So in the circumstances, I don't believe that we are going to have any regionalism collection in this part of the world. Somehow I'm quite disappointed with organizations like SARC, organizations like ECO. I'm going to talk about something very strange. I don't know how many of you will buy that. This CPAC, I believe a time would come when this CPAC will take the shape of an organization. Many countries will join. They would show their interest, as interest has been expressed by Afghanistan, by Russia kind of countries. They would come on board, and then they would start using this highway, and then CPAC would be the one which would really probably collect all these countries together. Of course, there is a stabilizing factor in shape of China. So, but to answer directly, I don't find there is any sort of ideology that may focus on having all these countries in a regional shape. I'm sorry if I have not picked your question that you wanted to coin. My apologies in advance for not understanding that, if it is not to the point answered. Second thing, ideology of the region. Yeah, I mean, once again, if ideology of the region is from economics perspective, I am more into constructivism in this regard. I believe that we all are exploited. We are exploited at the hands of those who have edge, who are in the core, and we are in the periphery. And the core is always in a very wonderful position to exploit periphery. That is structuralism. And this exploitation is in such a manner that, I mean, let me say this thing, I'm talking about extraterritorial states, but some of the territorial states are exploiting even. For example, we have very good relations with China, but do you know that China, which was economically booming before Corona, they are utilizing just 1% of Pakistan's cotton, whereas very easily they could have really used Pakistani cotton for their all stuff. Being so close to each other, still there is a core and there is periphery. But at the same time, question emerges whether we should be exploited or not. Structuralism. If we are exploited, and if we are not exploited, I believe not being exploited is worse than being exploited. At least in exploitation, we are earning. When I say we, I mean all those countries which are in the periphery. We are earning something, but not exploited means everything will be bad. It would be just like what is happening with Iran in shape of sanctions. So I'm sorry, I'm giving you a very bleak picture. I'm drawing a very bleak picture of South Asian region. But the reason, but I'm saying is that we still have to have a lot many things common amongst ourselves so that we may go for something joint. SARC is not successful because we don't have many things in common. ECO is not working because we don't have much in common. Yes, there is one very rotten kind of a phrase. We have poverty in common, backwardness, lack of industrialization, terrorism, extremism, intolerance, and therefore let's get together. No, I'm talking about positive things in common in which we will go for achieving benefits for ourselves, common benefits for ourselves. We always have a prism through which we look at the region. The day we will remove this prism would be the day picture will be clear and we will understand each other.
Sorry, can I come in and answer a few points that Amir has?
Yes, madam, you can. Yes, madam, you can.
Short, a very brief one. I'll try to be very brief. Amir has raised interesting points, but none of these points are unknowns. we've all discussed and known about the political economy of war, which is what Afghanistan has gone through. And then in places and circumstances and other geopolitical hotspots where wars and civil wars continue for a certain period of time, like for Afghanistan, it's continued for 40 years. It's not an unknown phenomena that the political economy of war, the informal economy, drug trade, and other kinds of businesses take a huge place in how power is wielded, and how you conceive power, how you perceive power is something beyond just the institutional setup or the state setup of power, and also ideologies and factions and ethnicities. It goes beyond that. And I think on Afghanistan, that is a realization. It's a factor that was recognized to basically kind of not make even the American project as successful as they would have wanted it to become. This is a factor that is definitely one of the challenges that any process forward will face and is facing. As Amir himself has pointed out, people who have supported Ghani some of them are those status quo actors, as what I was trying to point out in my comments earlier also, that there is this number of actors within Afghanistan which are represented even within the Ghani government who are status quo actors. And by status quo actors, I mean those actors who have benefited from the last 20 years of war, who have a lot of chips on the table, and in continuing to operate the way they wanted to operate, and they continue to operate, and they put in people, they represent that. But saying all that, saying that it's a big danger, I will come now to what is, we know this. I think Pakistan knows this, and all the regional countries and even the international actors are quite cognizant of this factor. But the fact is, whether the status quo actors continue without actually the international community or the international power brokers like the US and other multilateral institutions, as you said, World Bank and others, service delivery, these actors on the ground, no matter how they can manipulate power, the fact of the matter is service delivery function has to happen within a cohesive state structure in Afghanistan. And I do understand Kabul itself may not matter so much in Ghazni and other regional centers. And do we really have to contend with Kabul? Yes, because we have seen that once you have a disintegrated Afghanistan situation where the various ethnic or other factions are fighting, which is an ideal situation which the status quo actors would like to continue with, because this keeps their business going, leads to basically the state and these actors, not even the regional actors, not being able to deliver to the people of Afghanistan. Basic service delivery. This used to be an issue. This became an issue even when the Taliban were controlling Afghanistan in the 90s. But the last 20 years, there has been some semblance of urbanization, little bit pockets that have happened. People have gotten used to some basic services like basic health care, basic education services, and other municipal services, which have come to certain areas. If this falls apart again and various regional actors controlled by this whole global drug mafia or whoever else you may call them, controlled and kind of supported by these mafias, continue into this factionalized Afghanistan, people of Afghanistan are going to suffer. There is going to be out-migration from Afghanistan to regional countries. So my thing is that on this point, all the regional countries, Pakistan, of course, hugely will suffer, and we know that. But even other countries like Iran and Central Asian countries and China and others all have issues with that status quo. So despite the challenges, we need to assure, and I think that's why we are, all these countries, I do not agree with the Swarwadi Saab that of course the regional frameworks are missing, SARC is not there, ECO is not there. But we have to find, whether it's a new framework, whether it's a Moscow group or that group, we have to find a platform. That's why I was suggesting 6+2, maybe not a bad idea, to bring regional countries, because despite everyone supporting their separate courses, there is a common interest as far as the states in these countries are concerned, that not to come to a point where Afghanistan kind of becomes, either continues long-term in this low intensity warfare situation where there is, kind of big power vacuums and, or basically fall apart into a civil war, which I agree is a huge, huge danger of that happening going forward. So I think there is an interest where we can ally at least regional interests and maintaining some kind of a semblance of a centralized state in Afghanistan, and also Pakistan's own kind of, which were articulated before very well by a lot of speakers, Pakistan's own aim of kind of connecting, especially as far as the energy corridors and others, or even trade corridors with Central Asia, and broadening out of the straitjacket of, you know, having our eastern border completely blocked on that side. All our own kind of goals and aims on that regard are again going to be set back if that eventuality happens. So yes, lots riding on it, but it is not a situation that the global community hasn't dealt with before. The power of illicit actors, informal economy will continue shaping, will cause problems, but I do feel that still there is enough onus and interest within Afghanistan to have a centralized state which can deliver goods and resources and services to people. I'll stop here.
May I add to this discourse?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can add, and I would just request all the speakers कि हमें थोड़ा सा आज हम आप लोगों का time ज़्यादा लेंगे, because there are lots of students online from different universities in Sargodha, in Lahore, in Peshawar. So they would like to ask questions also, and there are a few comments also. After Shah Saab, yes, sir.
Mr. Durrani has raised two pertinent questions. One was the ideology of finance, and the other was governance. So I am one of the optimists. Let's give the devil his due. As far as Ashraf Ghani is concerned, all literature on that has indicated, when compared with other previous rulers, he has improved the governance within Afghanistan. Yes, as far as the formation of capital, it's one of the most essential for industrialization, urbanization, and service deliveries. Afghanistan do have these problems, but they are concentrating on their customs, their finance ministry, and regulating it. Most of the time in the history, urbanization has remained restricted to Kabul. But where there were negative sides of the war economy, there were also some positives, that a lot of Afghanis, they went to Europe, United States, and other areas where they have got a higher level of educations. If peace prevails in Afghanistan and there is some stability, then Afghanistan will have a very good human resource in developing their governance. So we can compare ourselves, our tribal areas, our Malakand region with Afghanistan. We have an informal economy there. We have no taxation system in tribal areas in Malakand. So more or less we are having the same problems, but over the years they will get over that. And as far as you see, if peace is there, then there is a now new concept, that is mutual interdependence, and trade will flourish. And this One Belt, One Initiative, One Road initiative will also benefit Afghanistan, because there will be connectivity connecting China, Pakistan, and Central Asia to Europe. So without Afghanistan, this initiative is not possible. And similarly, as far as the regional countries, Central Asia, China, Russia, they will always like to have a stable Afghanistan on their border. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Now we'll again go to Pindi. We have Mr. Taqir Ahmed with us. Mr. Taqir, आप बात कर सकते हैं.
Thank you, Colonel Khalid. Taqir speaking. देखिए, ऑप्टिमिज्म तो बहुत अच्छी बात है, हम सबको ऑप्टिमिस्ट होना चाहिए, जैसे अख्तर शाह साहब ने अभी फरमाया. लेकिन मेरा सवाल ये है कि क्या अमेरिका और तालिबान का अमन मुआहदा जो उसका डिज़ाइन है, क्या वो शुरू से ही नाकाम होने के लिए नहीं बनाया गया, ताकि अमेरिका ना सिर्फ अमेरिकी आवाम बल्कि पूरी दुनिया की आंखों में धूल झोंक सके. मैं समझता हूँ कि ट्रंप का एक ट्रम्प कार्ड है जो अपने सदारती इंतखाबात जीतने के लिए खेल रहा है. ये कैसे हो सकता है कि एक ही मुल्क में 3 सदूरों और दूसरे स्टेक होल्डर को शामिल ना किया जाए? जिस मुल्क में 3 सदूर हो तो वहां कैसे अमन आ सकता है? मैं समझता हूं कि अफगानिस्तान को नॉर्थ और साउथ में तकसीम करने की साजिश की जा रही है, जो बहुत अरसे से चल रही है। बहुत से लोग मुझसे एग्री नहीं करेंगे, जैसे कि सूडान में भी हो चुका है, दूसरे ममालिक में भी हो चुका है। ये बात तो आया है कि अमेरिका हर हरबा इस्तेमाल करेगा ताकि वो अफगानिस्तान पर अपना असर रसूख कायम कर सके, ताकि चीन, ईरान, रशिया, पाकिस्तान के ऊपर वो अपना कंट्रोल कर सके। आखिर में मैं सिर्फ ये कहूंगा कि हमें अपनी जो रियलिटी है, ग्राउंड रियलिटी से डिस्कनेक्ट नहीं होना चाहिए और पाकिस्तान को सिर्फ और सिर्फ अपने नेशनल इंटरेस्ट और नेशनल सिक्योरिटी को मद्देनजर रखते हुए फैसले करना चाहिए। थैंक यू।
वसीम फ्रॉम CIPS, वसीम आप अपना क्वेश्चन कर लें, फिर जनरल लोधी आंसर करेंगे।
मेरे साथ कुछ कमेंट्स हैं. I'll take about a minute and a half or two. First of all, we need to keep in mind that Taliban in Afghanistan, they have fought for, say, good about 19 years, and they are the victors, as a matter of fact. How they are the victors? Because they have dealt with 48 countries in a war scenario. Then they have won diplomatic achievements. They have visited around in all the regional countries and even a little out of it. And then they have won the Doha deal, I would like to say. And a lot in the war and narratives. That is area of my probably expertise. I'm a PhD scholar at NUST in doing narratives of the Taliban. They have won the hearts and minds. They have won this battle in Afghanistan through their winning the hearts and minds of the people of Afghanistan, I would like to say. And for inside Afghanistan, probably now things would not be much difficult for the Taliban in the post-US exit phase. Another comment what I would like to say is that the spoilers, they can delay the process, but this delay, they cannot, as a matter of fact, they cannot overrule it. And this delay will not be in their benefit. Thirdly, United States comments have come up, what will be their options in Afghanistan. US has, apparently it is visible that they have decided to change the gloves. They have got the feeling that instead of fighting the Taliban, probably Taliban are the people with a lot of wisdom. And that wisdom has been displayed in this Doha process as well. Taliban have shown a lot of maturity in later days. They have properly engaged in Moscow all the Afghan factions, and they have spelled out their future foreign policy, as a matter of fact, in a very clear terms, allowing women education. The point brought out by Dr. Juma Khan, probably a little addressed in that Moscow discussion conference, that they'll not be interfering. This is one of their very strong narratives. They'll not be interfering in any affairs of any state. But what we can do is that we can, in intra-Afghan dialogue, if we can have any influence, we can ask for recognition of Pakistan and its borders and the issues related with Pakistan. Another factor is that those staying in Afghanistan in if we say post-US force exit, those people will be staying in Afghanistan in post-US force exit phase, and those who will not be staying in the Afghanistan in post-US exit phase, we need to consider their interest. This is the present scenario. This is with in relation to the spoilers of the peace process. We need to consider this. Corona, we all are well versed with it. It's a fact. It's a fact, and it is going to impact the entire international relations in a huge way. The US economy has suffered a lot, and their interest in the region and their exit, speed of their exit may depend upon it a lot. Dr. Ishfaq said that Pakistan will face a lot of problems on the hands of India about something S-400s. Probably Pakistan will have its own options by then. And another important point was brought by Dr. Amir Zafar Durrani. I would like to say that Afghanistan itself has got the economic viability. This viability lies in its transit and its corridor fact. And narcotics, of course, Taliban have vowed that in case they come in power, they'll stop the narcotics, and the world has its own interest. Our regional powers, including Russia, Central Asian republics, Pakistan, Iran, and in fact, rest of the world, especially the United States being the worst sufferer from the narco, they have got their own interest to make the future Afghan government viable. So these are my comments till so far on the proceedings of the conference.
Thank you very much. For next question, we'll go to Sargodha. वहाँ पे हमारे साथ एक student है. But before that, I would like to make an announcement for all the participants that tomorrow at 10 a.m. we will be having the Chinese ambassador with us. He will be telling us about the China's effort on COVID-19. तो कल 10 बजे Chinese ambassador होंगे हमारे साथ. तो चैट पे यहाँ पे कल के लिए हमने आईडी लिख दी है, Zoom आईडी है, वहाँ से आप लोग नोट कर सकते हैं. Now Ataullah, student of international relations from Sargodha, are you online, Ataullah?
Yes, sir. Can you listen?
You can ask your question, please. Yes.
Yes, sir. Sir, one analyst was talking about the Afghan prisoners issue, that Afghanistan government is under the immense pressure from United States. Sir, can we interpret the statement that USA doesn't want that peace should be established in Afghanistan? सर दूसरा क्वेश्चन ये है कि जैसा कि लोधी साहब ने बड़ी कंट्रोवर्शियल बातें की कि फौज या आईएसआई ये नहीं चाहती कि अफगानिस्तान में अमन हो, तो सर पाकिस्तान के मफादात तो इसमें क्या हो सकते हैं कि पाकिस्तान चाहती कि वो अफगानिस्तान में पीस एस्टेब्लिश हो? सर दूसरी बात तो लोधी साहब ने ये की कि पाकिस्तान की तरफ जो अमेरिका का झुकाव है वो अभी देखने में आया है. पाकिस्तान मतलब वर्ल्ड बैंक ने पाकिस्तान की मदद किया, IMF ने भी रिसेंटली 2-3 दिन पहले. तो उसने ये बात की कि अमेरिका चाहता है कि वो अपना इन्फ्लुएंस को मेंटेन करे अफगानिस्तान में थ्रू पाकिस्तान, इस वजह से वो पाकिस्तान की मदद करना चाहते हैं. तो सर प्लीज़ अगर इस पे वो आर्ग्यूमेंट करे तो.
Thank you very much, Ataullah. Jan Lodi sir, now I would request to you कि वो Mr. Amir का question और ये Ataullah का question जो सरगोदा से इसने किया. Jan Lodi sir.
जी बहुत शुक्रिया. जो कुछ टीम साहब ने कहा पहले तो मैं ये बता दूं कि वो बिल्कुल मेरी थिंकिंग के लाइन है, इसलिए बस मैं उनको दोहराऊंगा नहीं. जो भी बातें वो वही मेरी सोच भी है. तौकीर साहब का सवाल बड़ा अच्छा था कि क्या ये जो मुआहदा हुआ है ये शुरू से ही अमेरिका ने इस लिहाज से नहीं किया कि ये सक्सीड ना हो. तो मेरे ख्याल में इस मुआहदे के 2 हिस्से हैं. एक हिस्सा वो है जिसमें वो खैर आफियत से अपनी फौजें यहाँ से निकालना चाह रहा है. वो बिल्कुल वो चाहेगा कि ये वाला हिस्सा मुआहदे का इम्प्लीमेंट हो. और दूसरा हिस्सा जो है जो अमन वाला है अफगानिस्तान में, वो मैं उनसे एग्री करता हूँ कि वो ये चाहेंगे, वो उन लोगों में शामिल हो जाएंगे जो या तो बाद में इसको लंबा करेंगे ताकि ये अफगान तालिबान जो है वो गवर्नमेंट में ना आ सकें और ये परेशानी रहे. ये जो भाई स्टूडेंट सवाल पूछ रहे थे, मैंने ये कभी भी नहीं कहा कि पाकिस्तानी फौज या ISI वहाँ पर अमन नहीं चाहती. मेरे ख्याल इन्होंने समझा नहीं होगा. सबसे ज़्यादा अमन तो पाकिस्तान चाहेगा, और क्यों नहीं चाहेगा वहाँ पर अमन. और ISI और पाकिस्तानी फौज वही चाहेगी जो पाकिस्तान चाहता है. उनका अपना अलग से कोई एजेंडा नहीं है. जहाँ तक ये है कि अमेरिका कैसे पाकिस्तान को इस्तेमाल करेगा अफगानिस्तान में इन्फ्लुएंस करने के लिए, तो इसका सिंपल जवाब ये है कि अमेरिका जैसे पहले पाकिस्तान को इस्तेमाल करता रहा है वैसे ही इस्तेमाल करने की कोशिश करेगा. लेकिन पाकिस्तान को चाहिए कि इस दफ़ा वो इस्तेमाल ना हो. मेरे एक भाई ने ये ज़रूर कहा था कि इस्तेमाल हो जाए तो अच्छा है. He said कि एक्सप्लॉयट होना बेहतर है अनएक्सप्लॉयटेड रहने के बजाय. वो एक अलग बहस है, वो हम फिर कभी करेंगे. एक्सप्लॉयट उस हद तक होना चाहिए हमें जब तक कि हमारा इंटरेस्ट वो फॉलो हो. अदरवाइज हमें इस तरीके से एक्सप्लॉयट नहीं होना चाहिए कि हमारे अपने इंटरेस्ट के ऊपर वो जो हमारे इंटरेस्ट मलिया मिट हो जाए. ये शुक्रिया.
अच्छा, अब हम आज का एक लास्ट कमेंट लेंगे डॉक्टर बशारत से, एंड आफ्टर दैट वी विल रिक्वेस्ट जल जाफरी. आफ्टर दैट जी सर, सुरवर्दी साहब आप पहले बोल रहे सर. So वदी साहब आप बोलते हैं, फिर we'll go to Dr. Peshawar.
Thank you so much. ये बड़ा important एक क्वेश्चन पूछा उन्होंने कि प्रिजनर स्वैप हो और अमेरिका जो है इस इलाके में अमन नहीं चाहता। देखिए सबसे अहम चीज ये है कि अमेरिका का यहाँ से उनके अपने कुछ इंटरेस्ट हैं इस रीजन में। फॉर एग्जाम्पल वो ये चाहते हैं कि जल्द अज जल्द यहाँ से ये चीज मामला जो है तय पा जाए और वो यहाँ से निकले, क्योंकि उनका यहाँ पर ज्यादा स्टे करना डोमेस्टिक प्रेशर के तहत ठीक नहीं होगा। तो वो क्या हुआ है कि उन्होंने जब ये एग्रीमेंट साइन कर लिया है दोहा में, तो वहां से वो ये चीज लेकर आए हैं कि ये जमीन हमारे खिलाफ इस्तेमाल नहीं होगी अफगानिस्तान की। तालिबान ने उससे एग्री कर लिया और ये भी एग्री कर लिया है कि यहाँ पर अगर कोई भी जमीन इस्तेमाल करता है हमारे खिलाफ तो फिर ये आगे होंगे। तो एक तरह से इन्होंने मतलब विद ड्यू रिस्पेक्ट, ये फजूल सा एक टर्म में इस्तेमाल कर रहा हूँ उर्दू में, पट्टे पे दे दिया है इन्होंने, ये एक ठेके पे दे दिया है पूरा का पूरा प्रोसेस के अलकायदा आती है या दाइश आती है, IS आते हैं या उस तरह के जो भी ऐसे एलिमेंट्स आते हैं अफगानिस्तान में अपने कदम जमाते हैं अमेरिका के खिलाफ, तो तालिबान का ये जिम्मेदारी होगी कि वो उसको डील करेंगे। तो एक तो ये हो गया। दूसरी बात ये कि अमेरिका और ये प्रिजनर स्वैप के लिए अमेरिका बहुत ज्यादा तिल मिला रहा है, वो चाहते हैं जल्द अज जल्द ये हो जाए। होने की वजह आप उसको चंद इश्यूज आप देख लीजिए कि जो सेक्रेटरी ऑफ स्टेट हैं माइक पॉम्पियो, वो स्पेशली आए यहाँ पर और उन्होंने मीटिंग की दोनों के दरमियान, डॉक्टर अब्दुल्ला और डॉक्टर गनी के दरमियान, कि वो किस तरीके से मामले को निभा लें। और उसकी वजह यही है कि निभाने से प्रिजनर स्वैप जल्दी होगा। प्रिजनर स्वैप जल्दी होगा तो जल्दी कोई इंटर अफगान डायलॉग जो है वो कोई कंक्रीट सोल्यूशन लेकर आएंगे। लेकिन वो नहीं हुआ तो उन्होंने फिर ये धमकी दे दी है कि $1 बिलियन इस दफा कटेगा और $1 बिलियन अगले साल भी कटेगा। तो ये शो हो रहा है। फिर उसके बाद आप देखिए, अभी थोड़ी देर पहले हमने बात की कि जो मुलर जो यहाँ पर आए हैं चीफ बाजवा से मिलने के लिए, उससे पहले वो तालिबान से मिलने के लिए गए, जिसका मतलब ये कि मिलिटरली उनकी कोशिश पूरी है कि दोहा प्रोसेस जो है वो टूटे नहीं और कोई भी पीछे ना हटे। और साथ साथ वो जो है अफगानिस्तान में भी कोशिश कर रहे हैं कि किस तरीके से तमाम अफगान जो हैं वो एक टेबल पर आकर तो बातचीत कर लें। याद रखिए, मेरा ख्याल ये था कि दोहा में जो मामला हो रहा है, यानी कि एग्रीमेंट हो रहा है, मैं जैसे समझ रहा था वैसे ही हुआ। मेरा ये ख्याल था कि दोहा में एग्रीमेंट हो जाएगा, असल जो मसला होगा वो अफगानों के दरमियान होगा। और आप देख लीजिए कि अफगानियों के दरमियान जो है वो इशू फंस गया है। तो ये जितना ज्यादा फंसा रहेगा उतना अमेरिका को नुकसान होगा। अमेरिका ने बहुत ज्यादा इन्वेस्टमेंट की है। अगर आपने मेरी बातचीत सुनी हो तो मैंने उसमें स्टेटिस्टिकल डेटा दिया है कि कितने hundreds of billions of dollars उन्होंने अमेरिका अफगानिस्तान की रिकंस्ट्रक्शन, डेवलपमेंट और इसकी सिक्योरिटी को बनाने में लगाए हैं। अमेरिका कभी भी नहीं चाहेगा कि अफगानिस्तान में दोबारा से सिविल वॉर हो। वो नहीं चाहेंगे कि उनका इतना पैसा जाया हो। वो चाहते हैं कि ये एक ऐसी जगह बने जहां से बैठकर वो बाकी मुल्कों की खबर ले सकें। तो समहाउ मैं स्लाइटली सवाल पूछने वाले से थोड़ा सा डिसएग्री करूंगा कि अमेरिका के ऐसे कोई खदशात नहीं है जैसे कि उनको परेशानी है।
ब्रिगेडियर साहब, मैं एक जरा वजाहत करना चाहूंगा, इफ अलाउ।
जी जी सर, अख्तर शाह साहब बिल्कुल कीजिए।
अच्छा, एक तो तौकीर साहब ने एक स्टेटमेंट दी कि तालिबान हैव वन दी हार्ट एंड माइंड। तो मेरी अपनी जाती दानिश में कि तालिबान अफगानिस्तान का एक जुज़ है, कुल नहीं है। They don't represent the majority of Afghanistan. जहाँ तक मेरी interactions वहाँ के educated youth से होती है, तो वो they have a different mindset. They are disenchanted. तो तालिबान doesn't represent the whole of Afghanistan. एक वो उनके पास बंदूक है और बंदूक के जोर से वो तमाम ये चीजें कर रहे हैं। पहले भी उन्होंने हुकूमत अफगानिस्तान में बंदूक के जोर से ली थी और अब भी बंदूक के जोर से कर रहे हैं। और दूसरी, जहां तक अमेरिका है, उसके अपने सुपर पावर्स की अपने आलमी मफादात होते हैं, स्ट्रेटेजिक इंटरेस्ट होते हैं। अफगानिस्तान में उनका सबसे बड़ा स्ट्रेटेजिक इंटरेस्ट ये था कि अलकायदा से उनकी सोशल ऑर्डर को थ्रेट था, वो उसके पीछे है, उन्होंने उसको ख़त्म कर दिया, डीकैपेसिटेट कर दिया, उन्होंने वो अपने ऑब्जेक्टिव्स अचीव कर लिए हैं। बाकी इस रीजन में जो उनके स्ट्रेटेजिक इंटरेस्ट है वो रहेंगे। ईरान है, सेंट्रल एशिया है, इंडियन ओशन है, वो एक फौजें तो ले जाएंगे लेकिन अपनी स्ट्रेटेजिक प्रेजेंस किसी न किसी तरीके से यहाँ पर बहाल रखेंगे ताकि वो ओवरलुक कर सके जो इंडियन ओशन है, सेंट्रल एशिया है, चाइना है, सीपैक, ये तमाम चीज़ें हैं, वो एक दूसरी शक्ल में यहाँ पर मौजूद रहेंगे। यहाँ पर लोधी साहब ने और दूसरे भी ने जिक्र किया कि दोहा एग्रीमेंट में साथ कुछ एनेक्शर्स भी लगे हुए हैं, वो शायद पब्लिकली नहीं दिए गए, तो उसमें शायद इनको काउंटर टेररिज्म ऑपरेशंस, अगर तालिबान भी पावर में आते हैं तो उनको ये सहूलत मैसर रहेगी। ये मेरी चंद गुजारिशात हैं। थैंक यू।
Thank you very much, sir. Now we'll go to the last comment of the day by Dr. Basharat. Dr. Basharat, are you online?
जी, I am online. Can you hear me? आप सुन सकते हैं?
बिल्कुल, Dr. Basharat, we can listen to you. आप बोलिए।
अच्छा जनाब, my first question, rather comment is for General Lodi because he is also an engineer. देखिए अभी तक जितनी बातें हुई हैं मेरे ख्याल है इसमें एक टॉपिक को टच नहीं किया गया, although I joined late, में भी इससे पहले किया गया हो, कि इंडिया इज बिल्डिंग सेवरल डैम्स इन अफगानिस्तान। पहले तो उसने पाकिस्तान का पानी जो है इंडिया में जितने रिवर्स हैं उसकी तरफ से काटा, और अब वो कुछ अरसे से अफगानिस्तान में डैम्स बना रहा है काबुल रिवर पे, जिसमें शातूत डैम का नाम ज़्यादा आता है। और फिर हमारे वो लोग जो KPK से और दूसरे सूबों से ताल्लुक़ रखते हैं जो कि बहुत ज़्यादा सपोर्ट करते हैं अफगानिस्तान को, अफगानिस्तान की हुकूमत को, अफगानिस्तान के लोगों को, और अभी कहा गया है कि जी तालिबान ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा उसको एरिया पे अपना इन्फ्लुएंस नहीं रखते। उनके लिए अर्ज़ है कि KPK की ज़्यादातर डिस्ट्रिक्ट्स को बैरन करने का ये प्रोग्राम है, उसको बंजर करने का ये प्लान है इंडिया का, जो अफगानिस्तान के रिवर्स के ऊपर वो डैम बना रहा है। तो ये ज़रा याद रखिएगा जब आप वहाँ की तारीफ करते हैं। दूसरी बात यह है कि इंडियन कॉन्सुलेट्स ऑन पाकिस्तानी बॉर्डर्स, हमें इसके ऊपर जो है, और फिर जिस तरीके से इंडियन डिज़ाइन हैं उनके NSA, उनका जो अजीत दोवल है वो क्या क्या किस किस तरीके से प्लान कर रहा है पाकिस्तान के खिलाफ थ्रू अफगानिस्तान, और पोस्ट US इवैक्यूएशन जो एरा होगा उसमें वो किस तरीके से नुकसान पहुंचाना चाहेगा। उन्होंने स्पेशल सेल्स बनाए हुए हैं, उसमें अरबों रुपया उन्होंने रखा हुआ है जिसके जरिए वो प्लान कर रहे हैं और उसके ऊपर अमल भी कर रहे हैं। आप देखते होंगे जो कि ISPR की तरफ से सेवरल इसमें प्रेस रिलीजेज आती हैं, अभी कल परसों भी आई है कि इस वक्त भी जबकि दुनिया कोरोना वायरस से लड़ रही है, किस तरीके से तकरीबी कार्रवाइयाँ जारी हैं जो कि अफगानिस्तान के जरिए इंडिया करवा रहा है। तो वी हैव टू बी वेरी विजिलेंट। हमें जो है हमारे सिविल और मिलिट्री स्ट्रेटेजिस्ट जो हैं उनको स्ट्रेटेजाइज करना चाहिए कि जैसे ही अमेरिका वहाँ से जाता है तो वी बिलीव कि एक जो है ना बेहतर गवर्नमेंट आएगी अफगानिस्तान में जो कि एज हॉस्टाइल नहीं होगी जैसे कि आजकल है, तो उसको जो है इंडिया के लैब में जाने से रोका जाए, और इसके लिए क्या स्ट्रेटेजी अडॉप्ट करनी चाहिए। इसके अलावा मैं कहना चाहूँगा कि जो वाटर सिक्योरिटी है, वाटर सिक्योरिटी पे आपको सबसे बड़ा काम करना है पाकिस्तान के लिए। इस वक्त अफगानिस्तान और इंडिया ये दोनों मिलकर पाकिस्तान को एक बंजर मुल्क बनाने जा रहे हैं। पाकिस्तान इज ऑलरेडी अ वाटर स्केर्स कंट्री, और 2025 के बाद तो वैसे ही यहाँ पानी इतना कम हो जाएगा कि हमारी ज़रूरत के लिए वो नाकाफ़ी होगा। तो इसके ऊपर आप अभी से काम कीजिए और अफगानिस्तान की जो नई गवर्नमेंट आती है, तालिबान गवर्नमेंट आती है, उसके साथ उसी तरीके से ट्रीटी करिए जैसे कि आपने इंडिया के साथ की थी, और इसमें इंटरनेशनल ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस को, वर्ल्ड बैंक को और यूनाइटेड नेशंस को इन्वॉल्व करें और उनके साथ एक ट्रीटी करें कि अगर वो डैम बनाते भी हैं अपने रिवर्स पे तो उसमें कितना हिस्सा पाकिस्तान का होना चाहिए और कितना हिस्सा जो है उसको अफगानिस्तान में इस्तेमाल होना चाहिए। थैंक यू।
थैंक यू वेरी मच सर। हमारे साथ इस वक्त एक और स्पेशल गेस्ट आए हैं। सुरवर्दी साहब जरा 1 मिनट दीजिएगा, विल कम बैक टू यू। हमारे साथ एक और इस वक्त स्पेशल गेस्ट आए हैं, उनका नाम है एम्बेसडर आसिफ। एम्बेसडर आसिफ जो हैं ये पाकिस्तान के ईरान और अफगानिस्तान में एम्बेसडर रह चुके हुए हैं। सर कैन यू लिसन टू अस? एम्बेसडर आसिफ सर।
Yeah, I can listen to you.
Yes, sir. You can speak now, sir.
Gee, thank you very much, and thank you, General Khalid and Professor Shabir. I heard a very illuminating discussion this morning, since this morning. I tend to agree in most of the points, but there are certain prerequisites for any dialogue or any process which has to go by, and that is number one is ceasefire. Taliban are not agreeing to ceasefire. This should be a source of concern, and I think that is very important. And then linked to that is American part of the deal. We should see that as far as the Doha Agreement is concerned, there are certain timelines which are to be met by the United States. And in that case, US is bound to meet those timelines, such as it has to delist the Taliban from the 1267 committee so that Taliban get universal recognition. Second is they have to reduce their troops to 8,600 level in 135 days, which is deadline is nearing, and then completely withdraw US and NATO troops from another 9.5 months time. So in this way, I think these conditions are yet to be met. And only then we can talk about any prospects of a success of the dialogue. Then what we are discussing so far is, and I think we have to be a little bit futuristic, and here lies Taliban's, you can say, political and diplomatic understanding, which has yet to be tested. And that is how they would maintain the ethnic and sectarian balance in Afghanistan. That is very important. And I think roughly so far, after the American involvement after the 9/11, this balance was maintained one way or the other, although there were certain ups and downs, but America could intervene and maintain the balance between different ethnic groups and religious groups. And here linked to that is the role of the neighbors, immediate neighbors, I mean. Here, Iran, Pakistan, China, and Russia, I say immediate because Turkmenistan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan, they look towards Russia. So directly, you will not find them directly involved. So therefore, it is important that we have close interaction and Taliban and other interlocutors, they are closely linked to that. So this is very important. And then now Taliban's attitude is very important because right now their body chemistry is as if they are victors. They are behaving as if they are victors. And then I have come across to many Taliban friends who are non-Pashtuns, and they are saying that Taliban are now telling other ethnic groups that first you have to owe your allegiance, you have aapko bai'at karna padega Mullah Akhtar, Mullah Hafizullah Akhund ke haath par. So if this is the attitude, so mind you, other ethnic groups are also armed to the teeth. So then they'll be heading towards a civil war. So I have to flag this alarm also. When we talk about India's role, India cannot play much role, but just to pay money to the interested groups. This is, I'm referring to Juma Khan Sufi's observation that we don't understand Afghanistan. Afghanistan is basically a rent-seeking country historically. So therefore, the rent seekers continue even till this day. So here we have to, appreciate the sensitivities involved in Afghanistan, if I may use this phrase, because Afghanistan, as rightly put by one of the speakers, that economically Afghanistan cannot self-sustain. This is historically true as well. Only 12% of its land is arable. The rest is barren. Yes, it may be full of minerals, but at the moment those are rock and dust, and we are not sure that when they are going to exploit it and it will contribute to Afghanistan's economy. So so far we have to rely whatever poverty Afghanistan is sharing with its people. So so here we have to ask the Americans to counsel India that they have to behave in a manner and they should avoid sabotaging the whole process. One thing is very important, and this understanding should be reached. And I think for that, Afghanistan's immediate neighbors should also strive. and that is preserving Afghanistan's institutions such as their armed forces and civil bureaucracy, whatever worth it is. And this is what we cannot paratroop military and civil bureaucracy in Afghanistan. And another most important factor which I think will decide about the future of Taliban, whether they rule Afghanistan or whether they become as the major stakeholder in the future dispensation, is the rights of the women. So far, Taliban have not made clear. They only say that their rights would be protected in accordance with the tenets of Islam. Just saying this is not enough. And mind you, US and the EU, they will be minutely watching that. And Taliban's recognition as a government would largely depend on how they confess to the women's rights. And then we have to emphasize as Pakistan about the repatriation of refugees, which is very important. And lastly, I should emphasize, not lastly, but the second last point is, has failed as a nation building. They ignored the UN, which has the expertise, and the UN playing as second fiddle. So UN's role is very important for the rehabilitation and reconstruction of Afghanistan. America has spent $137 billion since 9/11 on civil development, but that development is not visible anywhere in Afghanistan, barring few, say Kabul or somewhere, with few roads. The rest you cannot. And lastly, I tend to agree. We have to have a strong regional policy, and we have suffered a lot by relying on allies far afield. This has not worked. This has only been a transactional relationship which we had. Now I think time has come that we should have a strong regional policy with which we are in peace with our neighbors. And I think that would be the best guarantee for Pakistan's national security. So I thank you for your patience, and thank you for inviting me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Before we finish, we will just ask Professor Sovardi, sir, you can speak, then we finish.
2-3 things. I wanted to talk about this gender question, which Ambassador Saab has already addressed. Gender question is very important, and it is neglected area. I hope in the intra-Afghan dialogue, this question will be raised because what the rhetorics they are talking about is not enough to address this thing. Just one more very important thing. Afghanistan, it's an issue. We need to see away from the conspiracy theory. I mean, ये चीज कहना कि जो डैम्स बन रहे हैं वो केपी के तमाम जमीनों को जो है वो डिजर्ट कर देंगे वहां पर, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. हमें इस और फिर ये चीज सब जिम्मेदारी डाल दें इंडिया पर, ये भी ठीक नहीं है. I mean, where are the dam being constructed? That host country should be dealt with, rather than putting this all burden upon the Indians. Of course, everybody is there in Afghanistan to sponsor projects. It is Afghanistan, the regime in Kabul that is responsible. अगर वहां पर कुछ ऐसा हो रहा है और उससे हमें नुकसान होगा तो it is Kabul regime rather than India कि हम उसको कहेंगे जी वो इसके जिम्मेदार हैं. वो हम उसको बिल्कुल नहीं देखेंगे. हमें उसको देखना है जहां पर ये हो रहा है. एक ये बात है. कंस्पिरेसी थ्योरी से बचने के लिए मैं दूसरी जो बात करना चाह रहा हूँ वो ये है कि we must know that on both sides of the border, similar ethnic population is residing. So here it is Pashtun, there it is once again Pashtun. यहाँ पर अगर ऐसा कोई भी nefarious design है कि यहाँ की जमीनों को जो है वो डिजर्ट कर दिया जाए, उनको जो है बिल्कुल खत्म कर दिया जाए, कोई चीज भी उगाने के काबिल न छोड़ा जाए पानी की कमी की वजह से, तो याद रखिए सबसे ज्यादा प्रेशर वहां पर अफगान पश्तून जो हैं वो उसको लेंगे. और यही चीज आपको यहाँ पर भी नजर आती है. यानी अफगानिस्तान में पश्तून एरिया में जब भी कुछ जुल्म होता है तो सबसे पहले यहाँ के पश्तून खड़े होते हैं कि जी ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए था. मैं आपको, अगर आप यहाँ पर आ जाए और एक सर्वे कर लीजिए तो आपको अंदाजा हो जाएगा कि यहाँ के लोग, अगर काबुल में अफगानिस्तान में कोई बम ब्लास्ट होता है तो यहाँ के लोग ज्यादा खफा होते हैं, क्योंकि उनको इस चीज का भी एहसास होता है कि जी मुसलमान भाई है वो तो सारे पाकिस्तान के लिए, साथ में वो कहते हैं कि पश्तून भाई था हमारा, अफगान भाई था। यहाँ पर तमाम लोग ये समझते हैं कि हम अफगानिस्तान के डिसेंडेंट्स हैं, यानी फोर फादर्स हमारे अफगानिस्तान से आए थे। तो सम वो एफिनिटी जो है हमें उसको कैश करना चाहिए, सब जिसकी वजह से कि चीजें ज्यादा बेहतर हो सकती हैं। मेरे ख्याल में ये जो एथनिक होमोजेनिटी है दोनों तरफ, और फिर खासतौर से तब जबकि पाकिस्तान में पश्तून्स की तादाद अफगानिस्तान में पश्तून्स की तादाद से भी ज्यादा है, तो ये चीज हमें इसको एक पॉजिटिवली लेना चाहिए, बजाय इसके कि हम इसमें कोई कंस्पिरेसी थ्योरी लेकर आए जिसमें हम कहें कि ऑफ कोर्स इंडिया इज आवर एनिमी, और अफगानिस्तान से भी हमारे कोई अच्छे ताल्लुकात नहीं है, लेकिन इन दोनों को क्लब कर देना अपने खिलाफ और ये समझना कि एक बहुत बड़ी साजिश हो रही है, समाव उससे मैं थोड़ा सा पीछे हटना चाहूंगा। मैं चाहूंगा कि इसको बाइलेटरल लेवल पर लिया जाए। हमें अफगानिस्तान को थ्रू इंडिया's प्रिज्म नहीं देखना चाहिए। We need to have direct relations with Kabul. We should not see Kabul through New Delhi. और ये चीज मेरे ख्याल में बेहतर होगी कि हम क्लियर कट रिलेशन।
ये डैम वाली बात जो है, वाटर सिक्योरिटी, बड़े इंपॉर्टेंट इश्यू उन्होंने रेस किए। एज फार दिस, ये कोई अनहोनी बात नहीं है। यूरोप को आप देखें, यूरोप में डेन्यूब, DANUB, I may not be pronouncing it properly, इंटरनेशनल लॉ जितने भी हैं, अपर रिपेरियन, लोअर रिपेरियन, ये तमाम स्टेट्स में और विद इन द स्टेट पाकिस्तान के अंदर अपर ये राइट्स होती हैं, हिस्टोरिकल राइट्स हैं। इंटरनेशनल लॉ ऑलरेडी इवॉल्व हो चुका है, तो स्टेट ऑफ पाकिस्तान कैन टेक अप दिस इशू विद द स्टेट ऑफ अफगानिस्तान इन अकॉर्डेंस विद द इंटरनेशनल लॉ and settle this issue for all time to come. Thank you.
ठीक, अच्छी बात।
Thank you very much, sir. Now I would, in the last request, General Jafri to thank all the panelists and everybody.
Okay, thank you very much, Khalid. Very, very interesting discussion. Very eminent panelists. Very good ideas put forward. The bottom line, which we have got from this discussion, is first of all that Pakistan ke favor mein hai ek stable Afghanistan. Fine. Regionalism, yes, we must go for regionalism, absolutely. We must stop looking towards across the Atlantic. We must now have a policy which factors in Afghanistan, Central Asia, Russia, China. Another point which was being highlighted was about the development which the Americans have done, the so-called development, $137 billion, and very rightly brought out by Ambassador Asif that it is not visible on ground. Can China play a part in this, in the development? The Chinese are very good in these projects. And if so, will the Americans allow this? Will the Americans leave Afghanistan in totality? Like General Lodi has said, that their interest will remain. Now, will they be able to operate through Pakistan? Do they trust Pakistan to that extent? Again, it remains to be seen. The point was brought out about the drugs. Since I have been the DG anti-narcotics for 5 years, we've been dealing extensively with Afghanistan. The drug production is sustaining Afghanistan to quite an extent, all sections of society. If Taliban come into power, obviously this will have an effect because this is their stated policy. So the status quo people who are there in the Ashraf Ghani government or anywhere else, it has already been brought out that there are people who want the status quo. It will be very difficult for them to accept this. The specter of civil war looms large. This is the reality. India gets into a favorable position if there is civil war in Afghanistan because it affects Pakistan. It doesn't affect India, it affects Pakistan. So will it be possible for the Indians to tacitly encourage civil war and not to allow these agreements to take place? Are they influential enough in the Ashraf Ghani government? Will the Americans be able to stop the Indians if they do this? So again, a lot of questions. We hope whatever happens, it will be to the advantage of Afghanistan, Pakistan, and the region. Thank you very much once again for a very good discussion. Thank you.